Hello everybody and welcome to this Encounter Roleplay stream live on a different channel. We're on Dungeons and Dragons right now. How is everybody in the chat doing? How is everybody tonight? Well, this is our very first episode of the Learn by Play Tomb of Annihilation. My name is Will. I'm a D&D sex icon. This is our very first episode in a new season of shows which focus on helping DMs and players run through the Tomb of Annihilation. Because of this, the show will run a little differently than your standard actual play series. So let's explain a little bit about that before we go meet our wonderful players, our cast and crew of today's show. So, as a DM, I will be taking moments away from the actual play itself to explain what I'm trying to achieve in each session. Each week we'll be hitting a few main topics and learning about how to improve your DMing skills. These Tomb Insights sections are also a great chance to chat with me live in Twitch and to get your questions answered. So there'll be a little bit of Q&A going on as well throughout this. We'll also take one-on-one time with the players to talk about their own character development and try and show you the level of communication that we think is best for a fantastic game of Tomb of Annihilation. Oh, and one last thing, we're playing Meat Grinder rules. Oh yes, my friends. Why? Well, first of all, it's great fun for me, and it ratchets up the tension. And secondly, we're also here to show you that Tomb of Annihilation doesn't have to be a game killer. A lot of people have lots of long-running campaigns with favourite characters and NPCs, and you may be put off by the scariness of the tomb, but don't worry, we're here to show you that you can play this on hard mode, and it's here to be enjoyed rather than endured. So now let's get a little bit about ourselves and our characters. Let's go around the virtual tables and learn a little bit about who our players are, and just a few lines about their characters as well. So let's start with Tool School. Tool School, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here to try out Tomb of Annihilation.
Fantastic. So talk to us a little bit about Fulton Stump, if you would.
So I am playing Fulton Stump today. He is a Furlbog cleric, and I'm trying out the Unearthed Arcana Domain of the Grave to see how that will work within the tomb.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go over to Sydneyak. How you doing, Sydney?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to see where this goes and hopefully survive.
Indeed. So talk to us about Reverie.
Yeah, so Reverie Fane is a high elf rogue who is a brand new member of an assassin's guild, so she's like in the midst of training and things like that. We're level 3. I didn't want to shoot too high.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We have Louise, no more though less, with us. How are you doing, Louise?
I am good. I am super pumped and ready to enter some tombs and annihilate some things.
Oh, it's more likely going to be you that's annihilated.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking positive.
Yeah, it's positive thoughts. So talk to us about Desira.
Desira is a high elf fighter who's actually been exiled from Chult. She spent most of her life there and is allowed there no longer.
We'll learn a bit more about that in a moment. And of course, we have encountered Josh with us today. How you doing, Josh?
Yeah, not bad. I will be stumbling my way through the tomb. I'm also, like Tool School, trying something out for the first time, and that is playing a character who isn't morally ambiguous or straight up evil and planning to betray the party. So
I don't believe a word of it.
I know you don't. My character is Bert Bartleby Baxter. He's a rock gnome, a wizard of divination, and I forget the rest.
Ah, I see. Okay, great. Well, we'll learn a bit more about our characters in a moment. Let's see. Dyslexia asks, what is a meat grinder? Yeah, basically the DC for death saves is 15 rather than 10, and these guys will get extra XP and loot to go alongside it. So it's, it balances out for these guys. I'm sure they'll be fine, everybody. I don't make any promises. But let's, before we go into the game itself, I want to do a quick little sort of Tomb Insight moment to talk to you about what we're going to be trying to achieve in our first session. When you guys are doing your first session 1 of Tomb Annihilation, what might you be wanting to look at? So, we're going to say goodbye to the players, 5 minutes, bye players, and we're going to go to our secret DM cave. Okay, now we're on our own. Now we're away from these scary people. Let us do our first Tomb Insight. You can see over here on the right-hand side, where my arrow is, we've got our 3 main points that we're going to try to achieve in our very first Session 1 of Tomb of Annihilation. Now, this could apply to pretty much any Session 1, doesn't have to be Tomb of Annihilation itself, but this is the way that I like to work, so hopefully this helps you guys out. And at the moment we're on Stage 1, as we go throughout the stream, we'll move to Stage 2 and Stage 3 and so on. So the first thing that we want to do are initial hooks. We want to get our party and characters hooked in our story. It's super important for our first session and often the basis for our main narrative. It's how we're going to get our party together and how to get them started into our story and the action quite quickly. So we'll get more on that in a second. Our second thing that we're going to try and achieve later on today is to establish some of the main themes. What are the main narrative motifs of our campaign that we want to put into our story? Is this a tale of betrayal or is this a tale of heroes? We'll get to that in a little bit. And finally, and this is one of my favorite things to do in campaigns in general, is to leave on a cliffhanger moment. So how do we leave our players wanting more? The first session is great, but how do we make sure they turn up to the second and third? Timing the perfect cliffhanger moment requires patience and a degree of skill, and I'm going to teach you guys an easy way of how to always get an awesome cliffhanger every single session. So, let's go into a little bit more detail for 5 minutes here on the initial hook before we start playing, before we start learning about our characters a bit more. So, a standard hook will involve a quest giver NPC giving a task to the party to get them started on a quest. Successful plot hook, in my opinion, needs a couple of things. First of which is some form of conflict to drive narrative. You're going to hear that word conflict a lot because it's the driving force of all of our story and everything in campaigns and narratives in general. Second thing that we want is to give the players an explanation of that conflict with some kind of possible reward to the party. So, now this may seem pretty basic. In this series, we're going to be going from basic to more advanced, so bear with me whilst I stay on some pretty basic stuff for now. So, let's use an example that we're familiar with, The Lord of the Rings. If the Fellowship don't get the One Ring to Mordor, Sauron is going to take over the world, right? And bad stuff happens. That's our conflict. That's the first point. Secondly, Gandalf explains the initial details of this to Frodo at the beginning of the narrative. This means that Frodo not only knows what the danger is, but also why and how to solve the issue. We want to do something similar in our game of Tomb of Annihilation. So we're going to use a suggestion from the Tomb of Annihilation book itself. There's something strange occurring in Chult, which is causing a death curse. If the party don't solve it, bad things will happen to everyone who gets resurrected. The way to solve it is to go to Chult and stop that. So pretty simple, and all of this will be explained by one of our NPC quest givers that we'll get to in a bit. Let's see. You can add another level of complexity, which is what we're going to do. But bear in mind, you can go as simple as you like. Tropes work for a reason. They're effective and easy, so you can always rely on a good trope to go back on. Something I'm going to do is to try and tie my PC backstories into this plot hook. Something that I personally love to do in Session 1 to give the players an immediate sense of investment in the game. I go so far as to run 1 to 2 hour origin story sessions in home games, but we'll be showing some kind of shorter versions here. When running your home campaigns, you can ask your players to send you some information about their characters. What are they doing in Neverwinter City? Why might they be interested in exploring Chult? It's a great way to get the characters to meet one another too, without feeling too forced. You know, you all meet in a tavern for no particular reason. Doesn't always work out so well. So in our example, you should hopefully see how I use Josh's character, Bert Bartleby Baxter, to assist in my plot hook. Alright, we're going to get some questions in the next Tomb Insight. I want to dive right into the action and get on with this game. So bear in mind that this is Session 1. We're going from easy to advanced. We'll get some more complex things later. We'll take some questions in the next Tomb Insight section. But other than that, let's get to playing, and let's go back to our players over here. Your lovely, lovely faces. How are you guys doing? We're all good? We're ready for We're ready
to go.
I'm sure nothing bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm sure that Tomb Insight wasn't just talking about how you're going to kill us all in the first 5 minutes. It's fine.
So let's dive into our story in the episode 1 of the Tomb of Annihilation, and we're going to start with Mr. Bert Bartleby Baxter, the gnome divination wizard. That's right, you're over there. So let's dive into this. Bartleby, it's happening again. You've gone to bed after a long day's work at the academy. The students were troublesome as usual, but the work is rewarding. The niggling feeling in the back of your head that something is wrong subsided for a time. You put your book on the side table, closed your eyes when your head hit the pillow, and tried not to think about it. When sleep finally came, it was restless and fleeting. And then you heard it again. A low humming sound, loud like an erupting volcano, incessant as a funeral bell tolling. It grew louder and more pressing, forcing you to pay attention to it, ripping away the veil of dreams until you had no choice but to listen to the nightmare inside your brain. The seething presence spoke the dread words that hadn't left you since this dream you first had 20 days ago. Withered and fallen like an autumn leaf, the soul of a mortal is tortured by grief. Corruptible and moving in a frozen wind, I, Asarak, shall rule your kin. Dominion and presence over life I once had, but now I seek greater power than that. I'll find out your weakness and test your faults. To solve the next riddle, journey to Chult. And then, in your dream, you see the face of a man. One very much alive, and perhaps the minion of this greater power speaking to you. He has green eyes, a craggy face, and a bone dagger on one hip. He is taunting you with a smug grin, daring you to find him. And then you wake up. The feeling that you've been ignoring can be disregarded no more. Whatever is speaking to you demanded to be heard, and at last you can resist no longer. Sindra Sylvain will know what to do, an old harper friend of yours with a talent for teleportation. But if you're going to Chult to face that creature, and the man who follows it, by the stars, you won't be going alone. Baxter, you are in the room at the Magician's Academy in Neverwinter, and you now know what to do. Could you please describe your character for us, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. He's imposing, terrifying. He's 2 foot tall. So yeah, he doesn't lift. He's not sort of that kind of guy. He's not physically imposing. He prefers to focus more on sort of studying and learning. Bert is a very small 2 foot gnome, but he is drowned in these blue robes that he's always been told his whole life he will grow into one day, and that he just hasn't. The only reason his hat that is far too big for him doesn't fall over his face is because he has these ginormously bushy eyebrows that sort of acted, you know, when music sheets sort of on a stand,
of course, yes.
They have those hooks to keep them on. Yeah, like that. His eyebrows hook up and keep his hat from falling over his face. A great big bushy beard and a twirled mustache, and he sort of has to constantly hitch his robes up and stumble around. But this morning he wakes up tense, alert, agitated, and there is work to be done. And he's well. I can't go alone. That's his fault. I need someone imposing, someone who will strike fear into the heart of my enemies while I run away.
Indeed. And as you're thinking this, you know, if I'm going to go to Chult, I'm going to need someone stronger than me, someone big, someone powerful. There's a knock on the door, and you hear a rather timid tap, tap, tap on your door.
Who is it?
No! It's Miles, sir. Miles is one of your students at the academy. He's terrible.
Miles, what have I told you about disturbing me when I'm studying?
Sorry, sir. He opens up the door. You see the pale lad with, freckles and red hair. He looks incredibly nervous.
Very well, what is it?
It was just, it was that someone has come to see you, Sir Baxter, Bartleby, Bertie, Boxterby.
For the last time, it's Baxter, Bartleby, Bert.
Yes, sir.
But Baxter, Bartleby. Anyway, just bring them in immediately, and don't come with them. Like, show them the way, and then vanish.
Okay. He comes back a few moments later, And before you, you see a dark-clothed woman coming towards you from the darkness. And we're going to cut back in time just a little bit to Reverie. Earlier this same day, Reverie, as you are in Neverwinter at your guild hall, and you would know that your guild, whilst they have a front as being a thieves guild, are actually a guild of assassins. They enjoy the murder for money thing that's going on in Neverwinter. You work in the kind of back streets, the sleazy alleys, taking out nobles or just common thugs. And you have a meeting this morning with your master, Elras. And would you please describe Reverie for us?
Yeah, so Reverie is a high elf rogue. She's about 5'3", so good for creeping and crawling and sneaking and all of those other things, fitting into small spaces.
Of course.
She has long black hair and pale skin, like blue-gray eyes, and is usually wearing dark leather armor and a cloak, and she has a short bow on her back and a sword, the typical things.
Mm-hmm.
She's like really eager to work her way up in ranks in this guild, and she really wants to prove herself, but right now she's just started, so she's got a lot to learn.
Okay. So, as you kind of set about this morning, get your gear ready, you know they have a meeting with Master Elras this morning, and you're let into his private chamber, which is a rare honor. It's dark in here with only a few torches lit, and he is sitting in contemplation with a kind of a monk's pose, I suppose, seated in silence with his eyes closed, a hood over his face, and you can just about make out those pallid green eyes underneath his robes as he opens them when you enter. And he says, "Is that you, Reverie?"
Yes, Master, you wanted to see me?
That's right, I did. I have a task for you, which is very, very important.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Are you sending me out on a mission? On my own?
Not on your own, as such, no. But it is a very important task.
Who am I meant to be killing?
Oh, you won't be killing anyone, no. It's more of a bodyguard task.
Oh, all right. I wasn't aware that we did that here.
We don't.
Who am I meant to be guarding?
Some fool of a wizard. His name is Bexterby or Bartlebacks or Backstabber Boo. I don't remember exactly. All documentation has his name different. But you need to stay by his side. He has something that I want. Information about what's going on in Chult. I want you to stick by his side and keep an eye on him for me.
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't seem very exciting. He should be able to take care of himself, no?
You would think so. Alas, he is an absolute buffoon.
Oh, God.
But if you do this task, then I will see to it that you are raised in rank in our guild. There's something going on in Chult. I can sense its presence. The more you find out, the better your promotion.
Of course, Master. I'll find out everything you need to know. I'll find out things that people didn't even know I could have found out. I promise. I'll bring back everything.
Yes, good. See that you do. He has a room in the Mage Academy at Neverwinter. Go and see him. Pay him a visit, why don't you?
Of course. I'll be on my way now.
So, as you head off, a few hours later, you arrive at Bert Bartleby Baxter's room at the Mage Academy. as a little red-haired, freckled boy lets you in. Oh, he's in here! And he runs away. And Reverie, you see this somewhat ridiculous-looking gnome wizard before you.
Hello, are you Bartlebacks?
Bert Bartleby Baxter. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, yes, quite. I've been sent here to offer some protection of sorts. I see you probably need it.
You insinuating something, my dear?
Not really. It's just that you are so small.
So I am. Observant. That's key to the role. That's good. I'm in the process of packing some supplies and stuff. Do you have any wares that you're bringing with you? Anything I need to know of?
And she like unsheaths her sword like quickly, and she's like, I have this, and points to a short bow on her back, and she's like, and this, but I'm pretty simple.
Okay, so a sharp piece of metal and a single-stringed instrument. Fine. Well, in the meantime, I have plenty of things I need to sort out, and there's a million one other things, and there's the other one we have to go find. See, it's all coming together rather nicely. But you look, you okay? You look a little downtrodden.
Yes, I just want a little bit of clarification of exactly what we're supposed to be doing here, and I need to know what you know about what's going on in Chult.
Oh, I know more than probably anybody. See, I had a dream about it. That's it.
You're not going to tell me what happened in the dream?
Oh, yes. But first of all, we have to find somebody else. You see, I like to double down when it comes to security. Not particularly one for the old fisticuffs. You know what it's like. You know the old the to and the from and the left and the other one. So I figured I'd bring along some help. And well, let's just say getting people to agree to it was a little difficult. So I decided to branch out slightly, which means some of the people we'll be traveling with are slightly how should we refer to them as unconventional, I'm going to say. They're drawn from a wider pool than I would usually try. So we best be off. I'll get Miles to fetch that in a minute. Just
already got it, sir.
How did you get in here?
You left the door open, sir. And I have all of the things. And he just has so many things.
Single one of them.
So every last one of the things that you requested, sir. They're crushing me, sir. Could you?
Reverie, we appear to have an intruder. In the future, if we have an intruder, you need to do the thing. You know what your guild does and that sort of thing.
He means kill me.
No.
She goes and draws her sword, and she's like, did you want right now?
I like this one. Miles, you could learn from her, but don't.
Yes, sir.
She's terrible. But in the future, just if you're looking to learn from sort of person, it's this sort of person. Anyway, take all that down to Actually, I have absolutely no idea. I know we have to go find somebody. It's completely gone for me for a second. Bear with me. In which case, just stay here and just hold it. Don't put it down, because I might need you at a moment's notice. I keep turning as if the man is actually there.
Oh, it's okay. I can do this.
I really want to. Miles is 100% everything. I'll fetch you immediately, or won't. Reverie, shall we be on?
Well, tell me where we're going and who we're supposed to be finding, and who am I meant to be protecting them too?
Reverie, you're going on an adventure. The first place we must go is a tavern. Do you know nothing?
And on that note, let's cut to the tavern that you guys find yourselves in 20 minutes later. It's a pretty, it's got a bad reputation around here. It's on the docks. This place that Bartleby has probably never been to before, but he has heard that there is a guide, a woman who has been to Chult before, and perhaps could help lead you in an expedition there. So you spot her after a while as you guys are seated at the bar. And Desira, could you please describe yourself to us, please?
Desira is a high elf, and she's very tan. She's roughly 5'8", almost kind of long, almost white hair that reaches down to about her waist. And she's not wearing it at the moment, but she usually carries around a mask that resembles a bird beak that she uses to hide her face and hide her visage from anyone that might have any indication of who she really is. And she kind of just carries herself with the grace of someone who's known wealth, but the mind of someone who's lost it all. And she's not too great at dealing with other people, really, but she can hold a conversation sort of without killing them usually.
Okay. Are you sitting on your own in the bar, or are you with others?
Yeah,
okay.
She's on her own, probably near the back.
Full in the strider. I like it. So
exactly, she's got the shadows around her.
Yes, smoking a pipe. So Bert and Reverie, you see your quarry in a corner.
Immediately, you make it sound like we're here to murder her. Yeah.
For all Reverie knows, you might be.
Yeah.
So,
it is you, Josh.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. You just come over, stab me, campaign end. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. No, campaign ends for you, don't. Anyway, yeah, so he turns to Reverie and says, right, best keep your wits about you, because I have something of a reputation, and I've never been here before, but they probably have heard of me. I was 5 times champion, runner-up, cheese of the year champion back in my home village. Would have won, but terrified of cows, you see, so couldn't get the milk.
I don't think that you need to worry about me ruining your reputation here.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, that works in our favor. Would you be able to deposit me on the table?
You want me to pick you up and place you on the table?
That's about 50% of the reason I hired you, being able to pick me up and place me in places. I have a grappling hook for it as well, but it tends to be frowned upon in this sort of establishment. Or not.
Oh God. And she closes her eyes and just picks him up and puts him down. Just the shame of it.
Desira, it would appear as though you have ordered one rock gnome by accident.
Oh, I cannot pay for this. This is... Who are you?
Who are you paying for?
Are you? Maybe? Sorry. Let's rewind.
No. I'd like disagreement. I was going to pay you, but fantastic. She's paying me. This is the best Reverie, make a note.
I'm not your secretary.
Where's my secretary? Miles?
Yes, sir.
How did you get in here?
I slipped in through the cat flap, sir. He's still carrying all of the things, by the way. He hasn't moved from this position.
Desira she probably gets up to leave. She's like, I did not ask for this today.
No, wait. I have something you might be interested in. A proposition. Not the inappropriate sort of proposition. Mind you, it's a legitimate working proposition.
Which is...
Do you want to give me do you want me to give her the thing that you told me to write down, sir?
The contract.
Who are these small people?
Miles kind of totters over towards you. He says, he thrusts this ledger in your face and says, part of my work is to learn some legal contracting at the academy. He hands it to you.
I'll take it.
There you are.
This contract basically says we're on an expedition to Chult. This is it's basically written in a child's hand, so it's in crayon. We're going on an expedition to Chult.
It's not even really
We're going on an exposition to Chult, and we need a guide. Are you a guide? And then sign here if you are.
This is
It's legally binding, so you better think twice about that, you know.
Miles, be quiet.
Sorry, sir.
You have a lot to learn. Why are you going to Chult?
He's not going to. Oh goodness, you must be joking. He'd perish immediately. Again, we could use that as a bait for.
Anyway, we're not bringing him.
Okay, that's fine. It's
Someone once told me I was good bait once, sir. For bears.
I can see that, actually.
He has
He looks
some
proud.
redeeming qualities. Anyway, so essentially, there is some stuff going on at the moment that I've been charged with investigating. Your involvement in this is simply to be the guide. That's all we need. Nothing extra, no hidden terms and conditions. Right, Miles?
That's right.
Miles, just agree with me.
No hidden.
She'll turn over the document just to see if there's any
There's
fine
like
print.
a
Just-
foul-
It's like so many sub clauses.
It just gets impossible, and it's all in crayon, but it's like having to shave the crayon to particularly write finely. Yeah, he just so your position would be of the guide. We already have some level of security, but I understand that you have been known to handle yourself. Your reputation around here is a little, downtrodden, but I hear you also downtrodden a few people yourself. See what I...
Very good, sir, very good.
Miles.
I don't get it.
Neither
Oh.
do I.
Oh, fantastic. That's actually useful. Mind in the game, as it were, as opposed to thinking of stuff.
If I sign up, will you stop talking?
I don't think anything will make him stop talking, but we can hope.
You'll never know until you try. Go on. Right.
Miles hands you a crayon.
Yeah.
So,
But
go ahead.
we cannot go just like this, just the three of us.
Why not?
Well, it's Chult. You have heard of Chult, right?
I've heard of it. Apparently something is happening there now, but
Well, if the rumors are true, we're going to need a specialist touch.
What kind of specialist?
Someone that knows death. More than you and I. More than this small person whose name I still haven't gotten, and yet I have signed a contract under him, which really technically is my own fault, but...
I know how to get him.
Well, if you say so, then let's go find them. Do you know someone?
Well, by name. And she'll just start walking off.
Wait! And then she'll pick up Bartleby and put it on the ground.
Reverie just has a gnome in her face, and the gnome just looks at her and says, "Does nobody do names anymore? I forgot. She doesn't give her. I don't know. Well, I know of her name. Who's this specialist?"
I'm not sure either, but I guess we're going to go find out.
Yeah, so let's cut a few hours later. You guys find yourselves slogging through a swamp. And it's pretty hot around here. There are fleas biting all at you. And it's not too long as you're going through this, although it is a fairly slow-going process. You can still see the city of Neverwinter. That you see a little camp and an interesting-looking fellow. So, Tall School, would you please describe Fulton Stump for us, please?
So Fulton is a Furlbog, and I took a little bit of liberty with Furlbogs from the Volo's Guide, and I kind of figured with their connection to nature and being Fey that their appearance is going to be much more driven by sort of their environment than necessarily evolution like all the other races are. And he was born in a swamp with his tribe, but they were wiped out. But he's been spending pretty much the last 100 years with wood elves. So his facial features are actually very elven, but just sort of broader and less refined than most elves are. He does, though, retain sort of antelope type ears of the Furlbogs, and something unique among his tribe, which is a set of sort of short, stout antlers that sort of come out right from his temples. like all furlbogs, he is very large. He's about 8 feet tall, um, and very strongly built, but not necessarily like bodybuilder bulging muscles. It's more just sort of like oversized limbs with sort of these big ropey musculature on him. In fact, his arms and hands are probably a bit out of proportion to normal human proportion because of that sort of blending of nature within him. The most striking thing, in which they will notice probably almost immediately being in a swamp and under tree cover, is his coloration of his skin. Where full sunlight is hitting it, it is all but a translucent, very light green, like when new shoots sprout out of the ground.
Mhm.
But where he's in shadow, it is almost a deep coffee brown. So his skin tone is mottled and sort of blends him somewhat in the background. It was kind of how I wrapped my head around the Furlbog hidden step racial attribute. Um, but the big thing that does not change on him is his hair. It is very bright, vibrant green, sort of like spring leaves with the sun behind them, about down to his shoulders or so. But even when his skin changes color, his hair is always this sort of bright green. He has arms and armor on him that is made out of wood, is fire hardened. The interesting thing is, as I had introduced before, he is not a druid as most
Mm.
furlbogs are. He is actually a cleric of the grave, or grave domain cleric, out of the Unearthed Arcana, because I wanted to give that a try. So basically, his time with the elves, he started following the religion of Sethanane Moonbow, and became interested in their worship of her protecting death. And since he was grew up in swamps, sort of how death is a part of the evolution there, it sort of fit right back into his story of rot and decay being a part of life in the swamp. So that's sort of how I came out of developing him.
Thank you. Yeah. So you've heard these guys coming for a while. They've been sloshing through your swamp, and you see these three figures before you: a couple of elves and a gnome and a very, very little boy who seems to be carrying all of the things. And you guys see this furbolg before you. And furbolg are pretty rare, so you may not have met one before.
Is that who you were looking for?
I believe so. Fulton, I presume?
Yes, I am Fulton Stump. What brings you to this land?
She'll step aside and allow the small gnome to...
I feel like he's like underwater.
No,
he's like half drowning.
He's like on your shoulder. Like he's been complaining the entire time, telling you to not raise your legs because then you splash and you might get swamp on him. Like wade. It doesn't matter if it ruins your clothing. Wade. But he sort of waves and just says, "You must be this specialist we've been informed of. Are you that person?"
What specialty are you looking for?
Death? General death?
Wow.
Dead thing?
Sounds awfully weird when you say it out loud, but yes, death. Death is what we're seeking. No, well, when I say we're seeking, I mean, I don't mean that. So, would you pretend to be one of those inclined individuals?
I have studied death and the cycles of life as well. It is interesting that you arrive at this time, for there seems to be something out of balance. Even I can feel it, but I cannot ascertain its location or its source.
How would you like some clarity on the situation? Something to shed light or not light, whatever you prefer to light in this murky place. Somewhere to show. How would you like an explanation of what exactly is going on? There we go.
Explanations are always appreciated, but it seems to be a time of action as well. This cannot abide as it is. Nature abhors an unbalance. This must be addressed.
Dazra, I think you may have found a man. You, being, well, you're adventuring inclined, I guess, is the word it's the best way I can put it. You up for an adventure?
If it addresses this problem, I will go wherever it needs to go.
Oh, this is going to be a long trip. Okay, well,
We just gotta get you to sign some of these forms, sir.
how have you not drowned?
I'm very, very close to it at several points, sir. He's like covered in swamp juice.
Fulton sort of reaches over and grabs him and sort of picks him up and looks him in the face.
Wait, who? Miles or me?
Oh, Miles.
I was
Picks
going
up
to
Miles.
scream.
Yeah, no, picks up Miles. What is it you require?
It's just you to sign a contract saying that you'll come on an expedition to Chult with us, sir.
He puts his hand out and it's like, I guess, look, he grabs the crayon.
A tiny crayon.
I want to see a furball calling a crayon so bad.
He looks at it, sharpens it on his sort of barky breastplate, and just puts an X on it.
Thank you, sir.
Puts it back down.
Yeah, he falls down of a splat to the ground. So, you guys are outside of Neverwinter, but you know that this contact of yours, Sindra Sylvain, is one of the Harpers, and knows a bit about teleportation magic. If anyone's going to be able to get you all the way to Chult quickly, so you can stop having so many nightmares, she would be the person. Alternatively, you could take a ship, however, you'd know that would be more expensive, and probably take you longer as well.
Yeah, I know that I've probably left this too long already, and I'm not the only person who's picked up on it. Maybe a ship was an option, but now that I've heard that Fulton also is aware of this, and Fulton is a man who knows, or a thing that knows death. So,
Yes.
I don't know what you are. I have no idea, but I'm fascinated. So yes, he says, there is somebody we need to speak to. I have a contact, somebody who knows, from what I understand, is something of a whiz.
Oh, very good, sir.
It's Arcanum jokes. You have to be one of us to get them. Don't worry. So yes.
Don't
Essentially,
hate, appreciate.
Miles, shut up.
He shuts up.
I like
That
you.
I got.
He jumps in the swamp.
He just kneels and just sinks below the tide. Yeah, very well. We must seek her out, and well, from what I understand, she will be able to facilitate our transport rather whip-snappy and all that. So, if you are able to leave, do you need to pack anything? Grow anything?
I am prepared to travel. Shall we?
Before we do continue, can we please just go over names? Just at least once.
Man,
Miles!
Miles!
Bartleby Baxter, shut up, Miles!
Yes, sir!
So, Miles,
Fulton Stump, it is a pleasure to meet all of you.
Ah, thought I remembered your name, but couldn't quite sort of in the old noggin. Guess I was stumped. That's going to be a
Very,
long...
very, very
He
good,
looks,
sir.
yeah, he looks to Zira. Is he always like this?
I've known him for 5
2
minutes.
hours. 2 hours.
I know him for 2 hours.
I've known
Yes.
him a little bit longer, and yes.
And
Reverie Fane.
yes,
It's going to be a long trip.
All right, so you guys are gonna go off to meet Sindra Sylvain, but we're gonna go back to our secret DMK for a moment here, and we'll take a quick 5 to 10 minute Tomb Insight, pause the play, have a chat with you guys in chat, and we'll see you guys again in 5 minutes time. Good luck. Secret DMK evil things. Alright then, so we are going to head into our next Tomb Insight section here, where we are on section 2. We're going to talk about the important features of a world, establish some themes, and some NPCs as well. We've already established Miles, who I think may be the most important character of this game, by the way. And Los, who secretly thought he was Aceraric. How are you in my brain? But anyway, let's talk about some of the main themes I want to establish in this, and what you guys can do in your session ones to establish some of these themes that we're going to be playing later on in your campaign. So, the Death Curse is probably number 1 on my list. It's a really, really big part of this campaign. We wanted to establish this early on via that vision that was sent to Bartleby. And also, we want to do that with our first major NPC, Syndra Sylvain, who we'll be getting to in a minute. We're going to do this by showing them what the Death Curse has done to her and her people as well. Later on in the campaign, the players will have the information and knowledge about the Death Curse and potentially how to combat it as well. We want to make sure to them that there's something really bad which is happening, which also ties into our plot hook from earlier as that conflict, and also how they can potentially resolve that as well. It's also important that we set up this now because the rest of our narrative expands from this as a starting point. If we bring in a Death Curse 10 sessions down the lane, then we have less time to play with that. Whereas we set up now, we can go all sorts of directions with it throughout our game. We also want to set up some future villains aside from Asarak Lich, and this brings us to the Yuan-Ti. So, without spoiling too much, the Yuan-Ti are going to play a major role in our narrative and the rest of this campaign. I want to set them up early in this episode and show that they're clearly involved in the goings-on around Chult, so let the party know bad guys, some Yuan-Ti, as well as this Lich, and so throughout the rest of the campaign we can play with the Yuan-Ti as an evolving set of villains as well. The other NPCs that we want to establish, we want to make sure our first NPC we make memorable. Of course, we've already had Miles, he's more of a minor NPC, I suppose, but a quest giver NPC, Syndra Sylvain, who's going to be joining us for some of the rest of the campaign and also being a main contact point for the rest of the party. We want to make sure that even if our PCs don't like her, that she's a memorable character, because she's going to be important to the rest of our plot. There's nothing more frustrating than 5 sessions down the line when you say, she takes off the mask and it's Syndra, and then your players just give you confused looks like, who the hell is that? I've never heard that person before. But on the other hand, there's nothing cooler when your players freak out that one of their favourite NPCs or favoured villains comes back to return. So we want to make sure our cast of Session 1 are memorable and maybe even likeable. We'll see with Syndra. We've definitely got Miles at the very least. Syndra Sylvain herself is marked by the Death Curse. We're going to make her memorable by being visually striking and making her voice stay with the player, something which is going to be creepy and Voldemort-like, I think. You guys don't need to worry yourselves about voice acting. In fact, we have a later episode planned for the rest of the season, which is all about voice acting and voices. We did a questionnaire on Twitter yesterday asking people how they want help, and it came up quite a lot that people would like some help with doing different voices. So we'll get to that in a later one. But our description alone of Syndra and the content of her dialogue should be enough to keep her in the forefront of the players' minds. New villains, Miles, yes. So let me quickly look at the chat and we'll just have a quick section. If anyone has any questions about what's going on so far, about what might be happening, now is a perfect time to ask, and we've got a couple of minutes before we're going to join back into the play and set up that scene with Syndra Sylvain. What's up, Arvin? How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. How you doing, Valdar? Ghost Christmas Future, good to see you guys. So yeah, I think it's particularly important in our Session 1 that we hit the nail on the head on a couple of these ones. Particularly, I think we've done a good job on the hook so far. We've given them something bad which is going on, and we're going to be giving them something, learning how to resolve that conflict via our NPC. And the theme of the Death Curse is going to be a big one. I think I'm going to make some changes throughout the campaign about what happens with the Death Curse. As the Death Curse goes on throughout the rest of the campaign, I think it might start to affect other creatures as well. So that would be cool. And also maybe have an impact visually, such as on the skies. What is the audio? We are using tabletop audio at the moment for this, and when it goes up into podcast form, we're going to be using some of the audio from our composer, whose name is William Piotrowski, who's going to be doing that. So when you hear it on iTunes, when you hear that. When a Furbolg is speaking, all from the same one. Has everyone described their characters so far? I believe they had. I wish I could just voice act for being a player. This finds me getting so immersed when I do try to do voices. Yeah, doing voices is okay, again, something we'll talk about later, but something that I personally like to do in a Session 1 to establish some of these NPCs. Alright, Looks like we've gone through a couple of questions there. Obviously, the question of how does one become a D&D sex icon must remain to myself. That's a well-kept secret. But let's dive back into the action, and let's go back and do this next scene with Sindra Sylvain. Alright guys, and we are back here. How is everybody doing? Hopefully we're ready to go and meet our good friend Sindra, or soon to be good friend. So, let's dive back into the action here. So, you guys travel out of the swamp, away from the Neverwinter woods and back into the bustling city itself. By the time that you've gone back here, it's getting towards evening, so the sun is beginning to droop down in the sky as it gets darker. But you know that Sindra Sylvain's mansion isn't far from the Mage's Academy itself. And it is a mansion, of course. She's a fairly rich and influential person in Neverwinter, as far as you know. You don't really have many contacts or many friends, but she has certainly... she's certainly put up with you in the past when it's come to a few things, so you know that she can be pretty much relied upon for that. You see her mansion in front of you, and there are several guards on the door as well. They all appear to be cloaked and hooded. You can't see their faces very well, and they seem to be kind of drooping over, leaning onto their spears and halberds as they do so. One of them kind of sleepily looks up as you guys draw near and appraises the group of you, still unable to see too much of his face at this point. The voice calls out, Who goes there?
It's Bert. Bert Bartleby Baxter. I'm here to see. Well, are you okay? Yes.
You're here to see Sindra Sylvain?
Sindra, yes, Sylvain, yes.
Who are all of you? You see, goblets of what you think might be blood, maybe even flesh, coming out of this guy's mouth as he splutters and coughs. There's something chunky comes out, and it looks kind of grey, and it smells terribly.
I'm Reverie Fane. I'm here to guard Bartleby. I would offer you a hand, but I don't want to get it in your chunks.
Oh, sorry about that. And someone else comes down from the house, opening up the mansion doors, and you see a slim man who is dark of skin, who looks to be similar to Zero would recognize as someone who may be from Chult. He wears a tribal necklace around his neck. And doesn't have any form of weaponry on him. And he says, don't worry, guards. Go away. Miss Sylvain is ready for you. And this gentleman bows deeply. We are honored to have you amongst our number.
Right. Well, that's wonderful. I am Bert Baxter Bartleby. This is Fulton Stump. Yeah, that one. And we have
Desmunda. Desmunda. Born here and lived here.
Desmunda, she's a local pundit, just hired muscle. You needn't worry about her. And then this is Reverie, my personal assistant, secretary, and bodyguard, and various other things.
I don't think I agree to all those titles, but we can go over that later.
Should have read the contract.
He gives a long look towards Dezira for a moment as she says that. It gives you an interested look. By the way, just to chat, that roll is my insight check.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Yes, of course it is. My name here on the mainland is Logan. And he doesn't have a bow. And says, would you care to join me inside? Would you like any drinks or food, perhaps?
I think we're all set. Actually, I bought some snacks for the road and all that.
Are you sure this food really is to die for? And he lets the door open for you into the mansion.
I think we'll be okay.
Well,
I wouldn't mind eating, sir.
Wells, I suggest you could you tend to my Miles? Doesn't have a title. He's just my Miles.
It's a little bit of a rude request. We're guests.
Yeah, Logan smiles and says, it's fine, it's fine. Why don't you all come with me, even the little one? And he lets you inside the mansion. Presumably you guys walk in?
Yes.
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 Good. Excellent. No. Yeah, you enter into what is a very lavishly decorated mansion. You can see vistas of hunting scenes out here, and it looks like many of these are not scenes that you would see in Neverwinter or anywhere along the Sword Coast. Desira would recognize this to be her homeland of Chult, and you recognize a figure in there, Bert of Syndra Sylvain, who is elven and seems to be, in these shots at least, very well armed, and in all of these she's striking poses and hunting down great beasts. These are clearly her glory days. And as this man, Lorgan, leads you up the stairs, he says, might I ask you what business it is you're on?
Well, it's something to be discussed. It's querying a few things that have been occurring. It's really best,
So you're here about the death curse?
Yes, it is.
Good. Then I best let you inside. And as you ascend this staircase, you see a door which is closed, which appears to open up into a study, as Lorgan opens the door with a brief rat-tat-tat on the door itself. And the figure of Syndra Sylvain is a pretty androgynous one. You see that she too has this kind of hooded cowl up and slim frame, seated at a table along which there sits food for guests. It seems as though she's expecting guests. There's no food at her part of the table, however. There's no food on her plate. The others are filled with what looks to be fanciful treats and very expensive looking items to be on a menu. Lorgan lets you in and closes the door behind you. He's also stepping into the room with you. And the figure of Syndra Sylvain says, who have you brought here to me, Lorgan? And he says, it is some wonderful guests from the Academy. One Bert Bartleby Baxter, one Reverie, one Desiree, and one Fulton Stump.
Desmunda.
Desmunda. My mistake. And he basically takes a seat at the table next to Syndra. And she says, why have you come here, then? It doesn't seem to be directed to any of you because she's not making eye contact with anyone.
There has been a disturbance within nature itself. These acquaintances of mine seem to believe it is coming from Chult. The small one says you are able to help us to get there.
Why would I want to do that?
Well, I guess we thought that maybe you wouldn't like a death curse just roaming around in the air.
Chult needs help. It is our duty to help.
I'm assuming those are your men out there who are dying from the curse right now.
She looks up and pulls down the hood over her face, and you see this warped, mangled, undead, rotting flesh of her skin on her face. And it seems as though chunks of her face have been falling off, and the rest of her skin looks pallid and almost greenish, as you can see that kind of rot setting in. You smell this sickly, sweet smell of rot, which is barely covered by the heavy perfumes and food in the room. And she looks at you with these dead, lifeless eyes, which still somehow move. And she says,
I, more than anybody else, need to see this curse stopped.
Oh, you're looking as well as ever, Sindra. As you can see, it was difficult to find people suitable for the task at hand, but I believe that drawing from a wider, broader spectrum would be more beneficial. We have, someone who knows death, and we have myself, practiced in the arcane arts, and of course, my 2 bodyguards. Couldn't find a guide, as much as I tried.
It is a shame, but I'm sure we will find one in Chult.
Exactly. I have every confidence that one will miraculously appear once we arrive in Chult. Look, I understand that things are difficult at the moment, but my plan would be to alleviate some of the pressure you are under. I figured if you were sending people who weren't amongst your number, we stood a greater chance of success.
she narrows her eyes and says,
Yes, but how have you learned of the curse? Very few know anything of it at this point. We have kept ourselves hidden.
I come from a family that has long had something we call the sight in our blood, but it's we see visions of things that have happened, things that are happening, and sometimes things that will
looks like Josh.
come to be.
She
Sorry.
she nods and says,
I understand. You have been sent a dream too, then.
Yes.
her eyes flicker over to Lorgan, and he nods, and she says,
Have the others seen this vision?
I've seen no.
Well, we haven't. We haven't
had
slept.
troubles.
Yes, we haven't slept together yet, so it's. I don't know how this. Being a dream, that's. I don't know how to. Share.
her eyes flickers once again to Lorgan, and she says,
Come here. All of you.
Bolton approaches. Her rot does not seem to disturb him. It seems it's like something he is accustomed to seeing.
As does Desira. She's more worried that this is happening in Chult than it is that it's happening in front of her.
Yeah, Reverie will do. Whatever. Let's all just go have a great time.
okay,
Party in Chult! Woo!
do it. All right. So you step over towards Syndra, and she bids each of you to take a hand and to kind of form a circle by joining one another's hands. It means 2 people have to take rotten hands.
Dibs, I take.
Fulton will. I mean, again,
Yeah.
Desmond.
fungus, rot, decay. He
And
studies
Reverie.
that.
I'll take a rotted hand. Why not? You only live once.
3 rotten hands.
I turn around. I look to see sort of Desiree sort of looking, giving it the second part. I'm like, Miles, get in here. Hold her hand.
Yes, sir. He grabs the rotten, fleshy hand and cries.
Dash probably more upset about having to hold Mars's hand than he is about having to hold Syndra's hand.
Don't be rude.
You grab her hands and want each another form a small circle, and you feel your vision from this place fading away, and it's like you've fallen asleep and are in a dream. And what you knew before, being in this room with Syndra Sylvain and Lorgan, is now gone. And instead, you hear a voice.
Withered and fallen like an autumn leaf, the soul of a mortal is tortured by grief. Corruptible and moving in a frozen wind, I, Asarak, shall rule your kin. Dominion and presence over life I once had, but now I seek greater power than that. I'll find out your weakness and test your faults. To solve the next riddle, journey to Chult.
And then you see the face of a man, same face that Bartleby's been seeing in his dreams for the past 20 days. Craggy face, green eyes, a bone dagger on one hip. He's taunting you with a smug grin, daring you to find him. And you're back in a room with Syndra.
Well, that was enlightening.
Try having that dream every night for nearly a month now. It doesn't get any easier.
We have to get to Chult. Now.
Syndra nods and says,
Now you see what is going on. Something greater, more powerful has begun in Chult. My contacts at the Harpers have told me it is a necromantic item of great power known as the Soulmonger. Every day gets worse.
How is it destroyed?
I was an adventurer once, and I was resurrected by a cleric. But now, the life force granted to me fades away. How it is destroyed, I know not. Only that something of great magical power must be used to rid it from this universe.
You mean that it's taking away the life that was brought to you via resurrection?
That is correct.
So that's the case with everyone then. Everyone who's been resurrected is fading.
Everybody who has been resurrected or will be resurrected will suffer the same fate as me and my companions. Each day we get weaker. Each day we get one step closer to an eternity. A lost soul.
No. No. Well, we have to go. What's the quickest way?
I can teleport you all to Chult. It's dangerous, but it's the fastest way there.
If this is spreading as you say, speed is our best weapon at this time.
Shall we?
she,
Oh, we take Miles.
yeah, she looks towards the kid.
Is he going with you?
She looks to him and says, I understand that things are difficult at the moment, but Syndra, do you really expect me to carry all of that?
He nods, looks towards Miles. Says, oh, go, sir, don't worry.
I know you will. There's a good, Miles.
She says,
A little bit about Chult before you go. It's a peninsula ringed with mountains, choked with rainforests, to reptiles, savage goblins, and an army of the undead to prowl its jungle ruins. Mapping the place has been nigh impossible, and nothing is known about the region's geography beyond a few miles from the coast. You're going into uncharted territory. Though I've put together a few bits from sea charts, logbooks, and explorers' journals. A time spent in Chult was seeded with sorrow. I hope that it's yours not. When you're ready to depart, I will teleport us all to Port Nyanzaru, the only major settlement in Chult. I've been there some times before and will stay with a merchant prince friend of mine. His name is Wakanga Otamu.
And she stands up, turns her back on you to look out into the streets of Neverwinter.
You may need a moment before you depart.
Yes.
I have nothing here. I will wait for you to be ready.
Lorgan looks towards you, Desmunda, and says, "Are you sure you have never been to Chult before?"
Positive. I think I would remember if I've been to somewhere.
Yes.
It's Chult, right? How is that spelled? Just so I'm aware.
Yeah. He writes it down for you and passes you a piece of paper.
Thank you.
You open the piece of paper and it says, "I know who you are."
Busted.
Thank you. I will wait outside for my companions. She'll just leave. She's out. She's gone. Bye.
See ya.
She just kind of closes the paper and just folds it into like a really
Okay.
small piece.
Reverie will follow her kind of like sneakily in a little roguey way. And so like when you're outside, like thinking you're alone, she just like sort of pops up out of and she's like, pardon me, but is there a reason that you seem to have forgotten your name?
Oh, I'm forgetful sometimes. Occasionally.
So am I. Says
Where
a
did
voice
you come from?
When did you get here?
Reverie's pocket says,
Is there anything that we need to know about you before we begin this journey? Anything that could harm us or the man I'm supposed to be protecting?
look,
Job.
If the intention is that I am to be your guide, it perhaps would be best if you do not speak by me by name.
So we call you Desmunda? That
Whatever you like, honestly, it doesn't matter.
that's a dangerous thing to suggest, but I take your point. Listen, I have need to see Chult for myself, to venture out there, to document what I can, to find her. I won't ask why it is that you've never returned before. Just thank you for returning now. Her need is great.
Chult is in need of aid, and I will aid it, no matter the cost.
That's a
Okay,
great
well-
attitude to have. So I
Would you mind, Des, if you could just keep an eye on Fulton for me? I'm worried he might start picking bits off Syndra, and then we might never actually make it. He seemed rather enamored by her.
Point taken.
it's got
She
some odd
is.
interests.
Is there a way for me to go back inside without seeing that Logan? Is that a thing I can do?
You could try and roll me a stealth check. Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. First roll
First
of the
roll.
game.
Oh.
Oh god.
I believe.
That's good. At least one of us believes. That's good.
I didn't tell you why I believed.
It's also not rolling properly, which
I know.
is a great. start.
Just roll it manually and roll 20.
Hang on, I'm having to relog back. Can somebody just roll it for me? I'm having to relog
Yeah, what's
back
your
in.
what's your stealth bonus?
+2.
That is a 6.
Oh, sweet.
No.
So you step back in and Logan's there, like right out the door. Guys, don't call me my name.
Don't call me Desira. Oh, hello.
Yeah, he is standing right by the door, and he just gives you a smile as you come in. Yeah. Roll me a quick perception check, actually, Desira.
Oh, I will.
Oof.
I will.
Ouch, right?
Okay, here we go. This one's the one.
Okay. Yeah, you notice that Logan, he now has a dagger on on his back, basically. Like Aragorn has his dagger on his back there sometimes. That's what he's got going. You're pretty sure he didn't have a dagger there before when you walked out.
I will walk past him, and in doing so, reveal the side that has my longsword, and just walk past. Just nod at him, show the sword.
Okay.
Off I
Are
go.
you flashing him? Flash the sword.
So, you step past him, and Syndra turns back to the group of you to return to the room, and she says,
Are you all ready to leave then?
Yes.
Good.
and she opens up a shimmering portal before the group of you. And you see this tear in reality open up. It's a shimmering black mess. Looks like water, which is forming in ripples and waves. And she nods to the group of you and steps through the portal, leaving you guys and Lorgan there.
Bartle, hold my hand. I'm supposed to protect you. I don't want you to get lost.
Desira will head through.
Looking at it, I mean, we could always stay here. She's a continent away now. We could.
Come
Fulton
on.
sort of is like moving forward, pushing the two of them in front of him. Not really pushing them, but just his size sort of probably catches them up, sort of like bow wake.
Okay.
I'll drag him in. Whoa!
As you guys step in, you hear Miles as you're going in. Oh, wait for me! And you guys step through the portal.
Oh god. I went like Miles gets like halfway through and the portal shuts.
Oh, the portal isn't shut. Don't worry. You guys step through it, and after a brief moment of seething uncomfortableness, just having stepped through this portal, you guys find yourselves in what must be, you presume, Chult. And as you look around you, you see a rather fantastic land. You appear in this tropical city under a blazing sun. The familiar sounds of a harbour, creaking ropes, slapping waves, heavy barrels rolling across cobbled stones, mingled with voices shouting and cursing in an unfamiliar language filled with clicks, inhalations, and sing-songy words that make it sound almost musical. The aroma of unfamiliar spices and tropical fruit mixes with the wharf-side smells of fish, tar, and canvas. And this is a very strong kind of smell that you guys are getting, and very, very different from the place that you were just in, of like kind of sickly, sweet, almost like rotting smells that were happening near Syndra. Beyond all of that, Port Nyanzaru is an explosion of colour. Buildings are painted in bright shades of blue, green, orange, and salmon pink, while their walls are adorned with murals portraying giant reptiles and mythical heroes. Every building sports baskets and clay urns of colourful flowers, or is draped in leafy, flowery vines. Minstrels in bright clothing, adorned with feathers and shells, perform on street corners. Multicoloured pennants and sun awnings flutter atop the city walls. A crowd of children dressed in feathered hats and capes race past you, squealing in delighted terror as a street performer, costumed as a big-toothed lizard, stomps and roars behind them. This whole city seems to be bustling, sweating, laughing, swearing, and singing. And you see Syndra Sylvain on the other side of the portal. And she says, "Welcome to Chult. and you can see that the air seems to be doing a whole lot of good for Cinder as she's out here in this big tropical heat. And that's one of the things you guys first realize is like, wow, you've just stepped into like a pressure cooker compared to where you were in Neverwinter before. And Neverwinter is warm, right? You know, it's like, it's never winter there. But this place is tropically hot.
But it's going to quickly open one of the mini bags. Has Miles arrived?
You look around for Miles, but you don't see him.
Life goes on.
Well,
He's just carrying nothing of value. I just make him carry it. It's incredibly warm. I'm just going to go get changed really quick, and I'm going to nip behind a building, and Bert comes back looking exactly the same. It's much better. Wearing shorts now. So, where exactly are we headed now?
Syndra says,
Well, we can meet with Wakanga Otamu, the merchant prince, but it's best that I speak with him first. You can meet me there this evening. In the meantime, why don't you explore Port Nyanzaru? See if you can't find a guide.
Ah, yes.
yes. The guide.
Fulton wants to sort of scan around, looking to see how varied the different races and species are here, and if he is drawing any undue attention. Being a feral bog and just being of his size.
yeah, you are part of a kind of metropolis of odd-looking people compared to those that you might necessarily just find in Neverwinter. Chultans themselves are the human natives of Chult. They have dark skin, black hair, and they seem to be in force around here. However, the spectrum from that goes from, basically humans to Aarakocra, and the occasional Aarakocra will be flying overhead, swooping through the skies. You will also occasionally see what you think might be a goblin, the little fellow with a kind of tribal mask who's running around. You also spot Grung, which are you may have read about, but basically frog people. And they seem to be kind of like hiding in the streets where it's kind of like wetter, and there seems to be a little contingent of Grung around there. You also spot dwarves and tabaxi. And so it really is quite an odd spectrum of people around that you might necessarily just bump into in Neverwinter. So yeah, you aren't getting that many weird looks, really.
Okay, so yeah, Fulton sort of takes this in and actually, maybe for one of the first times in a city, sort of feels at home and not quite as singled out. And perhaps we should see what we can find, unique items or things that might help us as we go on our journey.
People don't even seem to be giving you weird looks that you came out of a portal. People are like, all right.
No,
Moving on with the day. It seems like it's so busy here that
So
people don't have.
cosmopolitan.
Yeah, people really don't have the time to care about other people, you know? It's like if you go to a major city, no one's going to look at you and nod at you. People will just kind of move past you, doing their busy business, you know? There's market stalls set up, and there are also the sounds of large, huge, lumbering creatures in the distance. And in one area, you spot what you think to be some kind of gigantic lizard. But it can't be, right?
That would certainly intrigue Fulton, just because from his Furlbog heritage and growing up in a swamp around lizards and alligators and crocodiles, that there would be something of a larger scale than that would be fascinating.
Cool, okay. What about the rest of you guys? The portal is still open, by the way. Cinder has moved off, but it seems like the portal's going to stay active for some time.
Desira's going to firstly put her mask on, which she actually probably should have done before she went into the portal in the first place. And then she's just going to look around, just as she's standing, just look around the city, just quite quietly,
Okay.
walking around.
I think Reverie might want to go scout for like some weapon shops or anything to maybe get something a little more high end or durable or stronger than what she has. So I'll go over to Bert.
Okay.
Like, well, if I'm meant to protect you here, maybe we can go scout around for something a little bit stronger than what I have.
Like moonshine.
Well, no, not like moon. I meant like a weapon, like a blade.
Okay.
Yes.
Aaron.
Do you want to come?
Oh, I see. I guess.
Well, I can't just leave you alone.
I assume that
Yes.
after a fair amount of time, Bartleby comes with the group.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
Will they? I'm interested to see. Do they sell hunting equipment?
They sell what, sorry?
Hunting equipment.
Hunting equipment, yeah. So you have a look around the market stalls, these busy, bustling market stalls, and you do indeed see these gigantic lumbering creatures with huge kind of snouts. Some of them have gigantic spikes on their back. They come in all different shapes and sizes, but the biggest size is, of course, well, I mean, the size in general is gigantic. These things are huge around you. Probably some of the biggest creatures that you've seen. Some of them are used as beasts of burden, just traveling and like hauling huge sacks of equipment on their backs around. The other thing that they might be used for is you see off in a corner that there are races happening, and you hear these huge shouts and chants from a coliseum as it appears that these bipedal lizards are racing around with riders on the back of them. And it's this huge bustling atmosphere. You can definitely find hunting equipment, and wherever you go, it seems as if you guys have been immediately recognized as being tourists. And they're calling out in common to you, over here, the finest Chult wine. Oh, you want equipment? We've got equipment. You want dinosaurs? We got dinosaurs. You got your dinosaur feed. You don't need your dinosaur feed from anywhere but this place. And these merchant vendors are just calling at you, you know, and their dinosaurs are calling at you as well. And it seems like, you know, the loudest kind of chant that they can bring up will get the most attention from tourists. And you see other groups of, you know, people who maybe aren't from Chult natively, who have traveled in from the docks, seem to be spending a lot of gold here. Yes, do you spice? I spice. Do you want a spice? And there's people
Dazira's
all
probably
around
just
it.
pushing them past all of these people.
Yeah.
She's like, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Not what I expected it to look
But
like.
the lizards,
There's many, yes.
I would very much like to meet one.
Well, I know just the place.
I'll follow down. You had me at I know just the place.
The one of the merchant looks at Bartleby and says, "You look like a man who wants some hunting equipment. Am I right?"
Uncanny.
Hey,
You do have that kind of face.
you got the one of those faces.
It's literally like all mustache and
You look like a fine hunter. Now, what can I get you for? Eh?
something that would tame one of the, and he literally points to like the biggest dinosaur there is, like
Yeah.
that.
And he says, "You want that one? Oh man! Oh, you're going to. Oh, let me teach you how to tame one of these. First, you're going to need my my supplies, my feed. You know what dinos love? They love feed. So all you're going to need is Zaya's magical dino feed. Only 10 gold." And he gets you out. He like plops his sack which says Zaya's magical dino feed on it. Apparently, his name is Zaya.
Right.
Bartleby, I'm not quite sure if this is completely necessary. I don't think we're trying to bait dinosaurs.
Now, let's not be hasty. What say you to 9 gold pieces?
Oh, you drive a hard bargain, sir. But okay.
Absolutely convinced he's got a bargain.
Still a deal.
Hands it over. Sucker.
You look quite pleased with yourself.
I'm getting used to this bartering. Call me Barter. Baxter Bartleby. Yeah.
So, yes, beautiful as that is, I assume you go over to the dinosaur and try to tame it.
Oh yeah.
Roll me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh,
I'm gonna die.
right here.
Episode 1, he dies. See. Oh, that's a 10 from Bart. So, but as you're going in, this creature basically noshes you as it eats this sack in one. But it kind of bites your finger, and it has got these huge, like, stone-like granite molars, and it does 3 damage to you as it cuts a piece of your finger off. You managed to get most of it out in time, but it's like some of it is lost. Extra nutrition for the dinosaur.
You still think it's a good idea?
Bert passes out.
Oh my god! I'm like, I have to like get down on my knees. I'm like, you can't die on me now. We just got here. I'm not gonna get my promotion.
Zaya comes over and says, looks like you need Zaya's magical healing potion."
Reverie will turn around and like unsheath her sword and hold it up to his throat and be like, "This is your fault, and you're going to fix it. Now fix him."
He like his hands go up, and everyone in the market like falls quieter. There's like a hush kind of like, oh damn kind of moment. And you see everyone like, everyone's mood goes from this really happy vendor sales thing to like, oh, someone's got a sword out. And you see the mood
Desiree
fall.
turns from where she was with Fulton moving towards like the Colosseum. She's like, and that is the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for coming to see. Big hand of applause for our actors today.
You can roll me a performance check, Desiree.
Oh.
I have great charisma. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's a 2.
Oh no. So everyone here is like, they're not buying this. And Zaya says, "She's attacking me! Somebody help! Guards! Guards!" And you see these 2 guards rushing over on these bipedal dinosaurs with this kind of, almost insectoid, kind of like sharp, long faces with little teeth, which nonetheless look razor sharp. They kind of plod over towards Reverie and says, "Now what's the problem here?"
His dinosaur bit off his finger.
Zaya looks at the dinosaur. "That is not my dinosaur."
Fulton has come over and is leaning over Bert to see if his finger's in fact gone.
There's like a nub of it has been cut off.
Can I do a medicine check to see if I can at least sort of kiss it and make it better?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So,
Nice.
19.
Nice. So you're Bartleby's kind of, fallen over on the floor. You manage to wake him up with some smelling salts, and that little nub which has come off, you can kind of fuse back on with some magic. He's like basically sticking it back on.
Yeah. Look, it is fine. Perhaps you should be more friendly to the dinosaurs.
As this standoff is happening with the guards, who look about ready to arrest Reverie at this point, they stop as they turn to see a figure walking towards them, you recognize to be Lorgan. And this dark-skinned man with a tribal necklace round and this kind of quite smarmy, silky, smooth way of speaking saunters into the scene. And he says, "Guards, please don't worry about this. These are our friends." And he speaks to them in another language, in that kind of sing-songy language of a series of clicks and almost like whistles in their native tongue. And he puts a hand up towards them, and they nod to him and turn away from Reverie. He says, "I suggest you put that sword down, young lady."
She puts it back up. And she like goes over to Bartleby and like picks him up by the robes and is like, You almost cost me this entire job. My everything, the promotion I'm going after. Don't you ever do that again.
Bert, are you there? He looks so confused.
Just in shock.
He's just in
Scared him.
absolute shock right now.
Would I have understood their conversation?
Yes. Yes, you would. So Lorgan says to the guards, "Don't worry, they're with me."
So, Bert just looks at you and I didn't know you cared. It's gone bright red.
Is it safe to say the group move away from this market stall and
Yes.
Zaya after a while?
100%.
All I
Yeah,
wanted was
Fulton
a
is still
fancy
wanting Dazira to take him to a legitimate dinosaur. He kind of expectantly, kind of keeps like, "Are you taking me there? Are you taking me there? Is it time to go? Is there a dinosaur? No, is there a dinosaur? Are we heading that way?"
Yes, fine. Fine. She'll take him towards the Colosseum.
Okay, yeah. So you enter into this Colosseum. You will have to pay an entry fee.
Entry free?
Entry free.
Let's go.
Entry fee of 3 gold to enter into this establishment, as it looks like the race is already beginning.
What say you to 9 gold? It's barter technique.
Call him in.
The guy looks at you like some kind of idiot, and then he looks at like your
Yes.
outfit, and he realizes that yes, he is. He takes your 9 gold, and he'll anyone else that wants to pay to get in can do as well. You enter into this roaring coliseum of noise, and you see these dinosaurs kind of racing around this dirt track. It seems to be almost like a blood sport. It seems incredibly dangerous as they race around, neck-breaking speed on these bipedal dinosaurs that seem to be rushing around. You guys take a seat in the stalls to watch it, and after a few moments of this incredibly fast-paced, action-packed round, you see that a winner comes through. It appears to be a dwarf riding one of these creatures. He's a short fellow with a long red beard who is traveling around, blasted by the wind as his beard flies behind him as they're going at breakneck speed, and a huge cheer erupts from the crowd as he emerges victorious. And you hear an announcer basically scream out with what seems to be some kind of magical enhancement, so that it can be heard booming voice. And he says, "And the winner is Alfred Cray!" And you see this dwarf Alfred Cray just standing on top in the stirrups of his dinosaur, screaming in victory. And you got a great sight of some of these dinosaurs. Why don't you guys, in fact, roll me a nature check as you do some learning?
I love to learn.
Yeah, nat 20.
Oh,
7.
baby.
With a nat 1 combo.
Oh, yeah, I
Doing
like
so
that.
well with rolling today.
So 14, 19.
Yeah, 14.
Nice.
I already know all there is to be known. I don't
Yeah,
know
everything.
anymore.
Yeah. So, you guys who didn't already know, aside from Dazira, learn a couple of things about these dinosaurs and how these races work. It seems like each rider has to bring their own dinosaur to the race. So it's a bit like, if you're, I don't know, like NASCAR, is that how that works? I don't know, I'm English. But I don't know, you have to bring your own car, you have your own team that are with it. It seems like they have a squire who helps them with it as well. They have an underground area of the Colosseum, the Bloodworks, where it looks like the dinosaurs seem to emerge from and where they're stabled and kept. And the prize for this round alone seems to be at least several hundred gold pieces and a minor trophy to go with it. And the announcer calls out that this is in fact just the first round of a great deal of bouts that will be taking place in Port Nyanzaru the rest of the week. And should there be any willing contestants, that they should sign up immediately. So that much you learn about this, and you realize that the dinosaurs themselves in that nature check seem to be very difficult to train. It seems like they basically go forwards and they seem to be fighting the other dinosaurs. That seems to be what's driving them forwards. Some of the riders will use whips to get them to go faster, as you might in a horse race or a chariot race. Others have a more gentle guiding touch, and you notice that one of these riders appeared to be some kind of druid and had a natural affinity with the creature itself, and they seem to have like a good relationship as though they were friends or it was a pet. So yeah, that's what you guys learn at this little Colosseum bout.
Reverie looks at Bart and she's like, "Don't you dare go anywhere near the sign-up section. Don't go anywhere near anyone's dinosaur." In fact,
Fulton's already signing up.
Reverie like takes out her hemp rope and like ties it around Bartleby's wrist and holds the other end, and she's like, "You stay next to me, and if you try to run, I will feel it tug and I will catch you."
Bartleby's wrist is really thin. Like, you realize, really thin.
Well, maybe we'll just tie both of them together.
If you tie them both together and his hat falls off, Bartleby isn't there. His staff is just wedged in the seat and he's just draped his robes over it. Next to Fulton is a very tiny grey-haired man with a bushy beard in a pair of Hawaiian shorts and nothing else. Fulton! Lift me up!
And
Get your son.
I grabbed him on the way. He asked for a lift, and so yeah, we're down at the table.
So yeah, you approach the table, and it seems as though the victor, Alfred Cray, that dwarf, is kind of sitting by there along with another attendant. And he says, "Oh, so you're looking to sign up then, are you?"
I'm interested in meeting the druid who had the
Yes.
the good relationship.
The druid appears to have gone back down into the Bloodworks with his creature, which seems to be a members only place.
Must we sign up before we pick our dinosaur? We are from out of town.
Alfred says.
I'm sorry. Because it's not obvious at all that we're from out of town.
Alfred says, "Hey, you're gonna need your own dinosaur if you're gonna be signing up. I mean, the next bout is in 2 days, so if you can get one by then you'll be all right. But you do need to sign up if you want to go back down there."
Fulton signs without even knowing how he's going to get a dinosaur, but just figures he is. Yes, I will sign.
And looks towards Bartleby. "What about you, little man?"
Where do I sign?
"Here, where it says sign, your name."
He signs Miles.
So,
That I can get behind.
it's something we can all agree on. Send Miles
Miles
to
is
his
going
death.
to clean up in this race.
It's going to be amazing.
We don't even know where he is.
You guys did not even care about finding him, so you have no idea where Miles is. So Reverie and Azira, what are you guys doing? You guys want to follow them down as they're like squires?
Yeah.
We could go shopping.
Let's go to
Yeah.
the mall.
Last time you guys went shopping, there was a bit of a scene.
Well, last time.
That was you shopping.
That was you.
Thanks. Okay.
So yeah, we go down to
Yeah, you guys wanna go down into the Bloodworks,
what's
yeah.
it- Bloodworks.
Yeah. So you head down. It's much quieter down here, and you see that the other kind of combatants, if you will, the other riders are down here with their dinosaurs, having tied them up and being feeding them, meat basically. You do spot the druid, who appears to be human Chulton. He's got his dark skin, long kind of black hair, and seems to be caressing his dinosaur as it's down here. He does note you as you step towards him.
This is the druid.
Yes, yeah.
I speak in common. Hello, friend. I saw your performance on the track. Bond between beast and man is always something to be admired.
He looks at you and nods and seems to be looking to translate in his head how to speak to common. And he said in a somewhat stunted version of your language, he says, "Thank you. I ride all my life."
Did you say, I'm sorry, he looks Chultan, or does he look...
Yes, he is definitely Chultan by the looks of him.
It is obvious that one does not grow a bond like that in just a few days. I am interested to participate in your races. How would one go about finding an animal?
He grins. You want to go dino hunting?
Yes.
The small gnome says from behind my ankle.
He smiles again and says, "We can go, but in the morning, when it is cool. The great lizards out in the forests, they are sleepy. That is when it is prime hunting time. But beware, it may cost you your life."
Life and death are just a part of nature's cycle. We each must find our own time. What can you describe what his mount looks like?
Yeah, it is essentially a raptor. It would appear to be some kind of... you guys wouldn't have a working understanding of this, but you'd know that it's a predator. Some kind of apex predator. And it's got these kind of thin, beady eyes, these short rows of serrated teeth, which nonetheless appear to be very cutting and sharp. And there is kind of blood dripping from them as he's been feeding it the carcass of an animal. Looks to be a smaller lizard.
Yeah, so I, using my... Who knew this was going to come in handy? I'm going to use my Frobog, Speech of Beast and Leaf, which gives me advantage on communications with animals. We can't talk, but they can understand what I'm saying. And I sort of give him this, the Vin Diesel sort of look it in the eye and just say, "You are a magnificent beast indeed," and reach my hand out to sort of touch him on his forehead, nose.
Give it that check, shall we?
No, not the face.
Which would just be a 12
Oh.
even with the advantage.
Yeah.
At least it's not that one.
Right?
Yeah, jeez.
It kind of like snaps at you, but it's seemingly a bit more playful. You know, it's already eaten, so it looks like it's not as hungry as it might have been, and it's tired as well, likely.
Bert will also approach because
No. Reverie will like run
It
back
eats
after
you.
him and grab him by the shoulder and say, "No."
Friend,
No,
you've
I'm
already lost a
getting the
finger.
hang of this. I'm getting the hang of this.
No, you're absolutely not.
Your finger missing.
I like swat his hand away like an angry mom in a grocery store.
Reverie, we're going to have to hunt these beasts, apparently. So, this is hands-on experience.
No, it's not. You don't have to go up and put your hands on their faces and hope they bite your finger off again. You stay behind me. My job is to protect you. I'm in this for the promotion, and if you take that from me, I'm going to have to hurt you.
So you'll have to touch it.
That was not the point I was trying to make.
Just trust me.
And I look at it and go, I can calm it for you, or at least ask it politely not to bite your hand off. Probably not helping
Right.
by saying that.
It's incredibly kind of you. Very thoughtful.
The his master, the druid, who introduces himself as Alakor Keller. Well, guys for spelling that. He kind of like steps in front of the creature and looks at Bartleby and says, "You are not gifted with animals. Best you don't. Else might bite off your head."
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, well,
We will find one that will understand you, but
on an intellectual level.
Maybe. I doubt. They respect one thing: strength. And
Well, it was lovely meeting you.
So, yeah, Diora's kind of shown out of the bloodworks after a while to stop pestering. You know, you guys are seen as like fans, basically. To stop pestering the stars out here, and head back up into the proper part of Port Nyanzaru. You actually find that Lorgan is out here. He's been waiting for you, and he says, well, is there anything I can help you with? I know Port Nyanzaru very well, and I can show you around the best bits for those of you that haven't been here before.
Well, I guess we'll need somewhere to stay. Would be a good start. Wouldn't it? Miles? We leave him in the bloodworks.
Probably.
Ah,
I
I
don't really remember where
do not recall him.
I don't recall
at all.
that he
Ever
was
existing.
when you met your first dinosaur. I don't recall him being there.
I don't recall seeing the boy either. Strange. Perhaps we could have a look around for him.
then who have I been talking to?
Why don't you come with me? We'll have a look around.
Yes, that would be prudent.
So you step out into the streets with Lorgan, and he's starting to show you guys around some of the back streets. You know, he's thinking that maybe Miles has run around and got lost somewhere. You trace your footsteps. You go out into some of the kind of darker streets with Lorgan, looking for the little boy Miles. And as you're doing this, you guys can all roll me perception checks. You're looking for Miles.
Cool. That's a 20.
That's pretty good.
13.
On know these streets.
14.
19.
Nice. So all pretty good. When you're traveling with Lorgan down the streets, he's in front of you leading the way, and you've gotten away from most of the people in the markets, so it's much kind of quieter around here. And you guys hear a strange noise, a strange kind of cawing noise, which sounds a bit like and you're wondering where this noise is coming from as you're down in this alley, and you look up and you see circling above you like a vulture around a dead body, there are at least two creatures that have a wingspan of at least 20 feet. They seem to be bipedal, and in their own size themselves seem to be about 10 feet. Like very, even bigger than Fulton. Like, these kind of big humanoid-like creatures with these massive wingspans and these beaked heads. And they seem to be circling around you with a caw, caw.
Oh no.
And
What is that? What is it?
Logan says, it's some of the locals.
Should we be afraid?
Oh, yes. Very.
Very, very afraid.
These are the terror folk. And he draws his dagger from his back. And you realize with a sinking heart that the dagger has blood on it. I ran into Miles a little earlier. And the creatures dive down towards you with a caw, caw. And we're gonna roll some initiative, my friends.
Oh man,
Yes, we are.
Logan, dude, it's
Logan.
time to mess him up.
Oh my, that's at 17 on my initiative.
Not 20 on the
Oh
initiative.
damn,
Oh,
we
I got
are
it.
ready.
Nice.
6.
I feel like he's like underestimating how little we care about Miles. It's like,
Speak for yourself. I need
I
Miles.
killed your greatest friend and ally. Oh, who? What? Sorry?
Ooh, who's that guy?
There's who?
Pretty sure we were
Oh.
traveling or something.
I
Alright,
thought his name was Mark.
Where's my
Oh.
stuff?
so, Reverie, what's your initiative?
21.
21. 21. What about you, Bartleby?
A stunning 6.
Sick.
Fulton, what did you roll?
21, not 20.
Nice. And last but not least, Dazira.
17.
Fucking number. All right. So let me just get this initiative order together, and I'll quickly roll for these guys. Rolled an 8, so they're going there in a turn order. All right, so we've got Fulton going first, followed by Reverie, Dazira, the Terra Folk, and I'll roll separately for Dudeski, actually. You rolled a nat 1. Wow. Good job. Ooh. Good job, Logan. So Logan's leading out the rear just after Bartleby, rather. So Fulton, Reverie, Dazira, Terrafolk, Bartleby, Logan. Fulton, it is your turn. What do you want to do?
How close is Logan to me?
Logan.
And is he right there at us?
He's about 20 feet away. He looks ready for you. The creatures themselves are 50 feet circling above you.
Do they seem to be attacking yet?
They look like they're ready to attack.
This guy's already made his intentions clear. I'm going to go over to Logan, and I'm going to try to put my spear in him.
Nice. Do it.
I do not appreciate being betrayed. It's 23.
That's a hit.
That's versatile. That's 8 piercing damage.
Nice. Fantastic. So describe to me a wounding blow. One which doesn't kill this guy, but certainly is going to hurt him.
Yeah, so Fulton goes over and pulls out this nasty spear, a wooden spear that is tipped in bone. He makes these himself, and just with both hands, just goes in and just right sort of between the ribs, not necessarily going straight for the heart, but I mean, this goes right into his belly, in one side and out the other, and then rips it back out.
Nice.
Betrayal is not an option in nature.
Nice. He stumbles back, and it is now Reverie's turn.
Yay! Okay. I'm gonna attack him as well, and I'm gonna use my sword.
Okay.
And fun thing, I'm an assassin, so I get an advantage because he hasn't taken a turn yet.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, boy.
Great.
So that's a 14, and then a nat 20.
Oh, damn. That's going to do it.
Yay! Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, this is such a nice, lovely outing. I'm just so
This is a good day.
What a lovely
Okay,
day.
so there's that, and then I also get to add sneak attack because Fulton is within.
Right there.
Life is just
It is
a dream.
all coming up today.
Okay.
Stabbity,
everybody-
stabbity, stabbity, stabbity. Life is but a dream.
So many things. 21. 21 damage.
21 damage on this guy. How are you going to kill Logan?
He's out.
Deal filthy damage to him.
Haha. Okay, so I see that Fulton has already gone after him and left a nasty blow, so I take my sword out and I want to go and like jam it in the same spot that he just jammed his spear and just drag it all the way down and like sever like the femoral artery in the thigh, and blood is just gushing everywhere. It's great. What a great day.
As you watch him die on the floor, that vein being opened up, blood pouring out everywhere, you see his body kind of twist and warp, and his skin like recedes into itself, like tightening and stretching, and you see this strange like skin come off of him, like when a snake sheds its skin, and he writhes down onto the floor and judders. And the two creatures begin to circle with coming in towards you. Dazira, it's your turn. They're 50 feet up in the sky, but these things have made their intentions clear. They smell blood.
They are quite a way away, which is
They are.
not a problem at all. Knowing that her good friend Logan is now dead, which is great news. Very happy about that. She'll turn her attention up to the sky, and holding her hands down, not even touching her sword, she's going to start chanting. And as she chants, these purplish bluish orbs begin to form in her hands, and she's going to throw some magic missiles towards them.
Awesome.
And that she's going to throw 2 towards the one on her right and 1 towards the other one, because I believe 3 come out at the same time.
That's right.
think so.
Magic missile.
Magical missile.
So you can roll that damage because they just auto hit. So that's 13 force damage by the looks of things on these things.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. So describe to me a wounding blow on one of these creatures.
They're flying. They're like 50 feet above
50
us,
feet
right?
above. Yeah.
Right. I want the incision that it makes to kind of almost burn away. So like snow. It's just like a snow of ash of burnt bits of skin and
Nice.
flesh.
Nice. You hear as these parts of the kind of membraney flesh from its wing just burn and sizzle off, falling down to the ground around you. And it is their turn. And they move in, dive bombing down towards you with this straight. And they are going to move straight in. One of them's going on Desira. And Desira, you can tell me, as this thing is going to have a multi-attack. It bites once and then it deals 2 claw attacks. So it really just kind of flurries at you, scraping and clawing at your eyes, going for vital organs. The bite with its huge beak is an 11 versus your armor class.
Nope.
You managed
Come at
to
me.
dodge it away as the beak can't quite find a chink in your armor, and so instead it goes to claw you instead on a 16 versus your armor class.
No again.
Holy moly, you managed to
Dodge
bite
it
it
out.
away. Its third attack is 6. It's ineffectually just batting at you, trying to scrape at your clothing, but not managing to tear anything away but a few bits of fabric around you. So, it has not hit you, so it doesn't get its terror dive. The second one is going to dive in towards Reverie, who has just murdered their compatriot. It seems like their companion. Same deal here, Reverie. This thing dive bombs towards you on a 6 versus your armor class. There's no way that's a hit.
Ah, no.
God damn, I gotta roll better, guys. Next attack, a 23. That's more like
Oh,
it.
wow.
Okay, yeah.
Slices in towards you, dealing what? Dealing 5. Let me see if that's slashing. Yes, slashing damage.
Alright.
It just kind of like rakes at you. This huge, this thing is 10 feet in size. Its wingspan is 20 feet in diameter, so it's filling up this street. And its next one is a 17 versus your armor class, Reverie. Gonna be a hit?
Yeah.
All right then. So you take a further 8 slashing damage from this creature as the blood which is pouring over you from the arterial wound of Lorgan just mixes with your own as it kind of tears open a hole, basically lots of series of holes, and you see it's got these jagged, deep claws that rip its way into your flesh and come away, and you see its beak just manages to bite some of the goblets of flesh that are pouring away from you. This thing is hungry. And it is your turn, Bartleby.
So, Bert has just turned to sort of ask this terrible individual where his friend is, and more importantly, where is all the stuff that Miles was carrying. Seeing him be murdered, then turns around to Reverie to sort of say, "Well, I needed to know where my stuff is," and then Reverie gets attacked, and he's had enough, so he just looks at this thing and he says, "Now listen to me. I was having a conversation, and I will finish my conversation." And every time he points his finger, a magic missile fires out.
Oh, nice. So let's see the damage on that magic missile if we can.
1, 2,
Not
3.
look happy about this.
So that's 6, 8 in total.
8 in total. And do you want to hit the one that is fighting Reverie, or the one? Yeah. Okay.
Right in his face.
Okay. So we'll say that is the wounded one, the one which has already taken a magic missile or 2. It is not dead, but you could describe to me a near death magic missile assault.
So basically, he points and sort of like hits this thing in the beak, and then as it turns, it basically just slaps him from side to side.
Nice.
Very sassy.
It just kind of and is battered away by your barrage of blows, which boom out across the horizon. It would be Lorgan's turn, but he's dead. So it is the top of round 2, and it is Fulton Stump's turn once again. One of these creatures is very wounded and is fighting Reverie. One is completely unwounded and is settled down, trying to attack Desira.
How bad is Reverie looking?
Pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Okay.
Can I get it?
So Fulton, because we were pretty close together because she just killed Logan right next to me.
Yes.
So I assumed that she's within touch distance. So he looks at her and goes, "We'll be having none of that today," and casts Cure Wounds on her
Ooh, nice.
at level 2.
That healing.
So that's 15 points of healing.
Oh my
It
god,
is
thank
not.
you.
It is not your day to die.
I don't think we've seen you manifest any magic yet, Fulton. So would you be kind enough to describe what a heal looks like from Fulton Stump?
So this green energy sort of swirls around him, and here in the alleyway, his skin has gone quite dark because it's pretty shadowy. So you're able to see sort of this green healing energy sort of emerge from his core and flow down his hand, and it's almost like a sunrise, or that sort of sunrise through the leaves in the forest. So there's this just bright, almost golden green, silvery light that flows in to Reverie, and her wounds heal up and close. I mean, did that take you back to full, or?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Very cool.
You see all of her wounds heal up, and she looks basically untouched by this monstrosity that has taken, that has attacked her. And he sort of looks to it and he goes, "However, it is your day." But I don't have another action, so.
Cool. That is awesome. So we see that magic manifest, healing Reverie back up to full, and in perfect time as well, because it's your turn, Reverie.
Yay! Okay. So now it's still close to me, but now I bounce back. I'm ready. So I'll use my sword again for this one. And before I'll look over to Fulton and be like, I'll make you proud. And well, I hope so.
Yeah, the creature looks at you menacingly, daring you to strike it.
15?
15's a hit.
Yes. Okay, so it's I get to add sneak attack again because
I'm right there.
Right there in 5 feet.
Right there. Oh yes. So it's let's just type this out because there's less stuff to add. Life is crazy that way, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
see, 10.
And then 14.
14, nice. Okay. So how do you kill this terrafolk which has landed on you?
Okay, I want to take my sword. It's still covered in blood, dripping in blood from the person I killed a second ago, and I want to stab it right through the throat, when it's opening its beak and swatting at me, just right through it, through
Nice.
the tongue, through the uvula, everything. Yes.
Yes.
As well.
Yes, please. So you cast this dagger and just and God, that even got me. You basically just rip open his throat of the creature, falls back on the ground, the power from its wings being spent, and it dies on the side of the alley. That is Reverie's turn. Takes it to Dazira. Your turn. You got one of these things completely unharmed, still fighting you.
I want to go at it with my sword, if that's all right.
Yeah, that is more than okay by me.
That's a 7. So.
7 is not going to be a hit. So yeah, you basically flail at this creature, but you guys are locked in deadly hand-to-hand combat right now. It's really difficult to get towards the creature because its huge beak can just basically swipe away at you, blocking sword
Can I do
blows.
an action surge because I'm not happy about this situation in my life?
Yes. So action surge, cool thing that fighters get. Yes, you
So
do
cool.
another
The
action.
action surge, you get to take an extra action once per long rest. So she'll step back, reevaluate the situation, bring her sword wrap around again for a nat one.
Oh no! Oh dear, that's our first natural one of the campaign, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get some ones in chat? Okay, so you swipe at this creature, and just describe to me, in fact, Louise, how do you mess this one up so monumentally?
I mean, there's so many ways. Is Is there anybody that's near? Who's nearest to
Probably Bartleby.
Bartleby? Oh no. She probably swings it with so much force that she like accidentally lets go and it just goes out into the distance and probably almost hits Bartleby.
No, so Bartleby, you go whoa, 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 and just duck in time for this. You just swing.
Thank goodness you're so short.
Yeah, hits the street behind you, hits the wall, and almost takes off your entire face. Luckily enough, you're pretty short, and Azira's aim really wasn't quite on today. So you're not quite sure if she meant to try and kill you.
She tried to kill me, or?
Was that a pass? You know, was she trying to give you her short sword? Either way, you managed to dodge.
Yes, it's yours now. Go.
All right, so that is Dazira's turn. It is the turn of the Terrafolk to try and bite into her flesh. And hopefully this thing can roll a little bit better than it did last turn. The bite is a natural one.
This time.
Oh, no.
It's contagious.
Oh, back to back.
I have like an aura around me, just bad rolls.
Yes. Like, oh man, like if it had a sword to throw around, it would.
Its beak
flies off. Almost hits Bartleby. No. It just completely shanks it, and instead tries to go in with a claws on a 12 versus your armor class.
Nope.
This thing is feeling so bad about itself. A 13.
No.
Oh man. All right. So this thing just kind of, and you're pretty sure it's crying.
Oh, no.
Well, it was laughing because she threw her sword.
It may have been, yeah. It's laugh crying.
It's been a whirlwind of emotions.
It's just been all up and down for this guy. So that is your turn of the Terrafolk, which takes it over to Bartleby's turn.
Right. I see it laughing. I look over and say, I'm sorry, is there something amusing about the situation? Well, by all means, continue to laugh like an idiot. And he needs to make me a wisdom saving throw. I can't Tasha's hideous laughter. I'll pop it. Terrafolk.
Oh my, oh me, oh my. Let's see what that is. And I was saying throw. Okay, not particularly wise. She's going to go at it on a 11.
An 11. It fails.
Oh no!
And it is now. I believe. And let me read the a creature that. So it reads: a creature of your choice you can see within range perceives everything as hilariously funny and falls into fits of laughter if this spell affects it. The target must make a wisdom saving throw or fall prone, becoming incapacitated and unable to stand up for the duration. A creature with intelligence score 4 or less isn't affected. It gets to make the save again each time it takes damage, and at the end of each of its turns. There we go. So that's.
It just basically starts. And it can't stop creating this horribly guttural sound, which you think must be laughing because that's what this spell does on everyone else. But this creature doesn't really know laughter, so it makes the closest that it can do. All right, so top of round 3, Fulton Stump. How are you going to do this?
So it's prone and laughing.
It is prone
correct?
and laughing. Yeah.
It can't move. It can't do anything.
So he's going to walk over to it and lay a hand down upon him, and at advantage because he's prone, going to cast Inflict Wounds.
Oh.
Nice. This is going to be painful. Oh no!
On an 11.
An 11 is. Let me check for you. Nope. Not a hit. You are looking for a little bit more than 11, my friend.
Oh no! So
how does this fail? What does it look like when Inflict Wounds just doesn't work?
He's going over. He goes over and with this look in his eyes, as though this creature is doomed. And suddenly he stops for a second, and he goes, "Your life is not mine to take, it is for someone else to take," as he gets insight into this creature's mortality with his being a member of the grave, that he sees that he was not destined to take its life, but your time is soon, and misses.
Reverie, you seem to be worryingly talented at all this. would you be able to open that one up as well?
It's Revery's turn, so go ahead.
I can certainly give it a go.
I mean, the others were actually
Oh, no, it's
trying to
that one,
fight you.
it's that
No,
one.
it's 23.
It's
You got
23. It's
advantage.
23.
Go.
Advantage.
Oh thank God, it's a
Thank
23.
God for advantage.
And you get sneak attack because he's prone.
Oh thank God.
Yep.
Do it.
All right. Okay.
Oh God.
I mean, at this point, how is it dying is the question.
I still want the number. I still want it.
I'm still want to do the thing.
13.
The one that got my numbers.
So I guess he's like laying on the ground on his back, like laughing.
Yes.
And Fulton is there next to him, like touching him and stuff.
Right.
You make it sound so creepy. Like touching him and stuff.
And so like Reverie will do that. Like she'll get on her knees and like hold the sword up above her and just jam it down into his heart all dramatically.
Very cool. Very cool.
Like the end of like a Shakespearean play. Just
Nice. So, as combat finishes, you having defeated Lorgan and the two Terra folk, you guys find yourselves somewhat bloodied, although actually I think mostly okay, having been healed with Reverie, and Zero not having taken any damage. No, taking a little bit of damage from that creature, right? Maybe it didn't hit you, I don't remember.
I don't think I did. No,
No, okay.
I'm good.
It was a 24 roll on the Reverie, my mistake, yeah. So you find yourselves in this back alley with this strange, like, shedding skin on Lorgan, which seems to have come off him when he died, and he's, like, shriveled up a bit.
Well,
Can I do a medicine check to see what's going on here?
Definitely, yeah. Give me a medicine check.
22 with Fulton.
Nice. Yeah, you are fairly sure that he was not quite human. And it seems as though he was affected by some kind of curse or spell, which is related, as far as you can tell, to some kind of snake god. It's an old magic, a really ancient form of magic.
All of the unhappy noises.
Can I do a religion check to see if I've ever studied this when I was studying Sethanane Moonbow?
Yes, yeah.
A 16?
16 ain't bad. You are aware that there are several ancient tribes of snake folk known as Yuan-Ti. You don't know the exact god or goddess with which this is related to, but you do understand that there is something on Chult which is older than the gods on the Sword Coast.
Gotcha. So, yeah, Fulton relays this to them and go, it seems we have more at work here than just the death curse.
it is certainly good to be home.
Oh, so now you are a guide again. Well, that's handy. Give me a second. I just want to check him over, see if he left anything, and I'm going to roll an investigation as I shamelessly fleece him for anything else. 15.
15? Yeah, if you want to fleece him for his goods, he has that kind of bone dagger on him, which used to be a common sort of item that a lot of Choltons have on them. You also find to the effects of 50 gold pieces. So he's clearly had a fair amount of wealth on this guy. He's also wearing some very nice clothing. So if you did want to fleece him for literally all that he's worth, you could strip him down and take his wonderful clothes. However, he does not have any particular note on him. I was sent by the bad guys. Nothing like that. However, you do note, overlooking at his body, you do see an intricate set of tattoos which run from his left shoulder down to his left hand. They seem to be serpents, twin serpents that run down his arm. It could be like a normal sailor thing, but given what Fulton has informed you of, something else is going on here.
I nod and I just say, Miles, make a note of... Drat. Okay, I have to do this the old-fashioned way, and he will begin to sort of try and sketch out the how the tattoo looks, but he'll also make sure he... what is the necklace still there?
The tribal necklace, which is around his neck, is still on his body, yeah.
I carefully remove it and try and examine it. What does it look like? What
Yeah,
is
as far as you can tell, it's made out of teeth, and they're not human teeth. The closest thing you think they might be is shark teeth. You could roll me an investigation check on those to identify what kind of teeth they might be. Actually,
a 19?
19 is pretty good. So yeah, you recognize these as the kind of venomous fangs of a snake, a very large snake as well, because these are at least, like they can run up to the size of the palm of your hand in terms of length. So you're looking at some pretty big fangs here, bigger than any snake you've seen. But then that might make sense because in Chult the creatures are huge. It's an oxygen-rich environment, and it seems like the dinosaurs that are living here are gigantic. So why wouldn't there be big snakes, right? Well, that makes a bit of sense to the wizened Bartleby Baxter.
So fun.
Okay, so he looks to the party and, well, we appear to have lost a scribe. Does anyone want to say a few words?
Yes. I was wondering if any of you could maybe write down and record what just happened so I can take it as a letter of recommendation to my guild leader when this is all done.
I meant about the fallen, but fair enough.
Fulton. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Fulton will begin to do at least some sorts of rites, and you notice he does them sort of on Logan and on these terror folk equally, as though he might do them on a fallen comrade. In fact, even though we don't necessarily have his body, he seems to do some type of ceremony for. It's not Milton.
When the person doing your ceremony doesn't.
I've lost his name already. Oh, I know it's not Milton. What is his name?
I'm not going to tell you. No one tell him.
Oh, y'all are
Tell him the
terrible.
name. Just spam random names.
What do you?
Miles.
Miles. Yes. And he does equally a amount of ceremony for both Miles and for the terror folk and for Logan, because Miles obviously made such an impression on him with his crayon contracts.
Fantastic.
We'll miss you, Miles, and your crayons.
Rest in peace, Miles. So,
long-suffering Miles, Milton.
So it's after this time, if you've had this combat, you've gone searching out, it's been several hours, you realise it's getting late, and that Syndra Sylvain told you to meet her at the Merchant Prince's establishment, which is on the rich side of town, which is at the top of the town. So you're pretty sure if you head in that district towards the Merchant Prince district, you could probably find Syndra. Is there anything you guys would like to do before you get to that point?
Can we
good.
get your weapons from the store?
Yeah, they have a range of standard to exotic weapons. If there's anything in particular that you're looking for, it's likely that you can get that at a fairly good price around here.
Yeah. I just want to get like a fancy rapier. Like that's what I want.
Yeah, you can get a rapier from here, and it is of the Chultan design. I mean, statistically, it doesn't have any difference. It's not magical, but it's fancier.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want a fancy one.
Does Zira know if? I mean, so are these terror folk like humanoid or people, or are they more like pterodactyls?
They are more like pterodactyls, but you did sense a level of intelligence between them, which was greater than that of just an animal.
So knowing that we got into trouble before for like even pulling a sword, I asked Zira if there's anything. Do we need to take special care with disposing these bodies, or is it best just to leave them? How frequent are skirmishes in the streets like these?
Almost too frequent. Well, what would I particularly know about?
They like to keep the peace around here, but these terror folk are likely just stray ones who have like flown in. It's quite common that these attacks happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perhaps best to just leave them for now.
So yeah, then we will. Just wanted to double check. Didn't want to leave behind a trail.
All right then. So, before we get to the last part of our session, we're going to have our third and final Tomb Insights moment. So, players, you are banished henceforth to the kingdom of Goodbye Land, and we're going
Exiled again.
Exiled again, Dazira. Keeps happening. And you, my friends, and I are going to our super secret, dark, dank cave of DM memes. I'll see you guys again in 5 minutes, y'all. Stay safe. All right. So, we are going over here, my friends, for one last time for the third and final part of our Tomb Insights section. So we're going to talk about ending on a cliffhanger. Our session 1 super important. We want to make sure our players come back, enjoy our second episode. So, at this point, we've done a good job of getting our characters hooked in and establishing our main themes. Now we're going to need to end on a cliffhanger. And I promised you earlier a formula for an excellent cliffhanger every single time. So, there's a few ways of doing this. The first, most difficult option is to plan your cliffhanger beforehand. Pacing is very difficult to get right, however, but this method ensures that the cliffhanger itself is awesome. You can reveal a favorite NPC returning, you can reveal a hated villain returning, but there's no exact method to getting this pacing right. Only that when a scene needs to move on, you need to make sure that you move it on. And similarly, you can buy time for yourself by giving, inserting an extra NPC interactions, giving the party a chance to interact with one another, or asking them if there's anything they'd like to do with some downtime. As I just asked the party then, is there anything you guys would like to do before you reach Syndra Sylvain? Now, writing your cliffhanger in advance can take some practice to time perfectly. The second option is much simpler, and it's one that I like to do quite a lot, is it doesn't require precise timing. I make sure in all of my games to set up a lot of different storylines, so where I need to pull in one in at the end of the session, I can easily do so. Sometimes I realize that this might be a perfect moment for an NPC from a player's backstory to show up, for example. This requires a bit of pre-planning in advance on your part, but can easily be brought in at any time to give the illusion of a perfectly planned cliffhanger. It's a bit of a cheat, but nonetheless invaluable. And I'll let you guys into a little secret. You can create cliffhangers without yourself yet knowing the answer to what is about to happen to next session. I do this all the time. It's super effective. An example would be, you see the portal moving and shimmering, and with a feeling of dread, you realize that something is about to come out of the portal. ... And they're like, oh my god, something's about to happen. What is it? TV shows do this all of the time, and they leave you waiting until next week before the reveal itself. It's impressively effective. You can create these faux cliffhangers when you're caught off your feet by an unexpected event. You can create examples would be a strange, unexpected knock on the door, a cloaked figure arrives before you, the skies suddenly turn black, a nearby river begins to run red with blood. The list goes on. I create a little bank of these cliffhangers to use at the end of sessions wherever appropriate, but I'll often just improv them on the fly. They're surprisingly effective, and your players have no idea that you've just made them up. So the great thing is that you can have a whole week to figure out what the answer to your cliffhanger is. Why are the rivers running red with blood? Why did the skies turn black? We don't need to worry about next week. You've got a whole week of prep before you. So that is a couple of tips on how I like to do some of my cliffhangers. And let's go into the last section, and we should be able to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go over into our very last section of the actual play. So we're back over here with the cast and crew again as you guys return to find Syndra Sylvain and go up to the Merchant Prince District. So along the way, you guys spot a bunch of different things. The first of which is that you spot Zaya, that strange merchant who you saw in the Merchant District before, who's trying to sell Bartleby some pretty funky goods. You see he is being arrested. And you're not exactly sure why. You see him being taken away by these two guards with their reptilian dinosaurs with them. And he is being pulled away. You guys don't have to do anything about this, but that's one of the things that you spot along the way. It's possibly because he's been selling some, like, bad goods, right? You know, he's been lying about what is up. Go ahead, Josh.
Is his stall manned currently?
You see them basically. I love that question.
That rope back in.
Roll me a perception check to see if his stall is manned.
16.
16. Okay. So, you see that his stall it hasn't got anyone by it. He doesn't have a miles to run his stuff.
Can I do an insight to see if I am
See that
figuring
look?
out what Bartleby is up to?
Please, by all means.
On an 18.
Yeah, Bartleby's like an open book. It just about
Still.
makes it.
Yeah. So I actually pick up Bartleby and just say, "Friend, here, let me give you a ride. It is quite some distance we have to walk." And basically put this little 2-foot gnome on my 8-foot tall shoulder. Perhaps you can see better from up here.
Is there anything on the stool itself?
Yeah, there's
I don't
all of his goods. There's his dino feed on there. There's his magic potions. There's his magic enlarge your whatevers. There's his magic daggers. There's his. He's got all sorts of goods out here. Magic. You won't believe this cure. No, seriously,
You
you
won't believe
won't.
what happens on page 23.
Doctors hate me.
A bag of feed suddenly lifts up, grabbed by a hand that is just floating there, and slowly moves over to Fulton as Fulton continues to walk, and he's just like, "Good idea. Couldn't see a damn thing from down there. Too tall. Thank you." And he
Yeah, I assume it's behind my back, so I'm not gonna. It's someone else. It's up to someone else. I caught him before he went over there
Somebody
himself.
stop this.
Somebody stop me.
Yeah, Bartleby manages to steal a sack of dino feed, much to chagrin.
Just any dino feed.
Of course, magic.
Oof,
Bayer's
magic,
magical dino feed, which is proven to have worked
Yes.
100%
Dino
of the
taming,
time,
dino feed.
20% of the time. So, you move past several of these dinosaurs and you move into a richer district. The people around here wear silken robes rather than just, shawls thrown over them to protect themselves from the harsh tropical heats of Chult. The people around here are less like dock workers and more like what would appear to be aristocracy. It doesn't seem to be the same kind of noble aristocracy that you'd find in Neverwinter. There is a nobility to them, but they still seem like kind of ordinary people that are walking about and doing their own tasks. Interestingly enough, there aren't a great deal of like slaves around here or servants, and the culture of this place seems to be a lot more closely knit together perhaps than it is in Neverwinter. And so as the group of you ascend the staircase, you spot Syndra Sylvain before you, and she smiles somewhat despite her rotten flesh and that cloak which is still up hiding her disease-ridden goblets of flesh which are dripping off from her face all of the time. She says,
I'm almost there. I got a little caught up along the way. Wakango Atomu is waiting for us. I trust that your visit into Port Nyanzaru was a good one.
It was interesting for sure.
It
Reverie
was.
is like cleaning blood off of her sword. Yes, it was unexpected.
It was like coming home.
It was murderous. There was murder happened.
We were trying to be vague about it.
her brow furrows.
Thank you
who
for the
did you kill?
clarification, but
Nobody told me.
Yeah, her,
Also, Fulton saw a dinosaur.
she,
yes, I did.
well, that much she
Signed up
takes
for
as
the
a given.
races.
She narrows her eyes and says,
Who did you kill?
Well, now I'm not sure if we're telling you or not.
Reverie looks over at Fulton.
Were you aware that Logan was a Yonti and apparently cursed at that?
she looks very confused.
Or actually, a thought comes to his mind. Do you know where Logan is?
She says,
Back at Neverwinter.
There we are. Someone was masquerading as Logan.
Keyword
Just lead us astray. Was masquerading.
He's gone now.
He is. We mentioned murder before. That
That would be the one.
Him.
I see. We will have to discuss this in more detail. Our meeting with Okango is now.
And she turns, looking very concerned about this whole scenario. She definitely seems like you have thrown her off by this mention of Lorgan's betrayal, or perhaps his doppelganger, someone masquerading as him. And as you head up through this district, you ascend a set of stairs to a rather fantastical palace before you. It could only be described as a palace. These guys might describe this as a mansion, but to you guys, this is incredible. It's made out of like a nice white marble, and the steps which are running up to it are beautifully cleaned. You know, like these have been swept like every 10 minutes, you're pretty sure, because the dirt around here is pretty impressive. There are no dinosaurs around here. There's a beautiful garden, and there are several guards on the door as well. And the perimeter in general just looks like a very safe location. And you approach the steps to the house of the merchant Prince Wakanga. The decor around here is pretty garish and spectacular. You're pretty sure he went to no expense to make this home fit for a king, let alone a prince. Cinder taking the lead, you find yourself enamored by the peculiar flowers and fauna of this land. Absent-mindedly, you hear Cinder speaking with your hosts and turn to see Wakanga Otamu. Your heart falls in your chest. You turn to see Wakanga's craggy face, piercing green eyes, thin frame, wickedly sharp bone knife on one hip. You look into the eyes of the man you are destined to find here in Chult, and watch as he draws the dagger to slice Cinder's throat. And that is, of course, where we're wrapping up tonight's episode. Oh yes, my friends. I'm afraid it's true. I'm afraid it's true. As our time is up for this session, and we have to hand over to the Hero's Graveyard in a couple of minutes' time. I'm so excited for you guys to get to watch the fantastic Trump and Destiny. I've seen a lot of fantastic fans in chat tonight. But this is our very first premiere here on Dungeons and Dragons. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our very first session of Learn by Play. Hopefully you picked up a few tips and tricks along the way. Hopefully you just had a good time, most of all. If you enjoyed the session, well, we're going to be back at the same time next week. It's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 11 p.m. if you're in the UK, like my good self. If you enjoyed this session, then you should come along to Encounter Roleplay. We stream almost every day Dungeons and Dragons. This whole crew here and a bunch of other actors and voice actors who join us every week, along with a set of podcasts, a website. There's a whole lot of stuff. You can find my channel here. I'll say hi in chat if you want to come along. Give us a follow, and we'll see you guys very soon. Had a great time. Let's go around the cast and crew. Did we enjoy ourselves? Let me ask you guys, what is something you enjoyed about today's game, or maybe learned in today's game? And of course, where we can find you guys online. Let's start with Tool School, my man.
I had a great time. What an incredible experience. This is my first time playing in a published campaign. I've always done homebrew before, and just the depth of Port, I'm not going to say it right, Naranzaru is just amazing. And it was fun. I wasn't sure if we were going to bump into combat right here in the middle of town. That was cool. And I certainly just me, because I'm a dinosaur freak as well. The fact that we've got dinosaurs and dinosaur racing is pretty darn cool. Anyway, I am Tall Squall. You can find me around the internet and on all social media as Tall Squall. And on Saturdays before this broadcast on my Twitch channel, I DM a show called The Vice that we do 100% for charity with an incredible cast of storytellers who join me as we go through my homebrew world. It starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we'd love to see you there. Say that you found us on Learn by Play.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go to Sydney. Sydnyak.
Wow. That was a whirlwind of things. I had a lot of feelings at a lot of different times. It was interesting. I always enjoy a game where I get to kill everyone, and I did, and it was great. It gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling in my part.
Yes.
And I really, really enjoy like the lack of rolling that we kind of have in this game. I feel like that kind of raises the stakes because when you are gonna roll and you are gonna try to do something, like it is a very much pass or fail situation. So yeah, I really like that. I like the consequences to do things like maybe you shouldn't just whip out your sword in the middle of the town. Maybe not a good idea. I don't know. Anyway, you can find me on Encounter Roleplay on Wednesdays. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Sydneyak, where I do like story times and I get drunk a lot all the time. It's a fun time. And I also am the Dungeon Master for WonderQuest Podcast, which you can follow on Twitter at WonderQuestPod, where we do Dungeon Mastery things. And that's about it.
Catchy gasm. Josh, yourself.
Hello, I'm Encounter Josh from the Encounter Roleplay Network. You can find me there doing stuff on Mondays and Tuesdays with two of these sorry individuals here in my Long March campaign, which is again a homebrew world. You guys have finally, it's taken them 14 episodes and they are finally departing the opening, like the first hub town. Some stuff has gone down. One of them is like lost body parts and is falling apart and rotting away. It's glorious. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. But also on Monday, more Tomb of Annihilation, because how can you get enough Tomb of Annihilation? It's always more Tomb of Annihilation.
Right.
Other than that, if you guys want to see some other projects that we're in, just like the wonderful Sydneyak, I am also in a Encounter Roleplay podcast, which is called Turncloaks, which I am in there. Will DMs that. They come in nice little bite-sized hour-long episodes. We've only just sort of, we're only about, I think, how many episodes are out at the moment, Will? Is it?
There are about 4 episodes out.
4 out at the moment, so yeah, and plus some in-depth, in-detail origin episodes to really get you to know these characters. But that's in a completely different, really low fantasy kind of setting, and definitely worth check out. So yeah, find us at Turncloaks on iTunes and all good stuff. And,
Absolutely. Yeah, last but not least, Louise.
Yes, oh my god, absolutely love today. I love that we have NPCs that we already care a lot about. Even though in-game we may not care about Miles, Louise loves Miles and wants Miles to be the victor and the winner of everything in life. So I'm really excited to see where this cliffhanger takes us. If you did want to see me in the meantime, you can do so on my Twitter at No More No Less. You can do so on Twitch at Accent No Legend. I'm on Encounter Roleplay Tuesdays, 9 p.m. EST. Yes. Yep. Time zones confuse me. And on the WonderQuest podcast, which is a great time to get involved now because we've just done all our origin stories and we're about to head into the actual campaign. So
and they are amazing.
Check them out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go check them out, guys. You can follow us on Twitter at EncounterRP if you want more. EncounterRoleplay.com is the website. YouTube.com/EncounterRoleplay. Twitch.tv/Encounter. You get the fucking idea, guys. Let's wrap up here. We've got the fantastic Heroes Graveyard. We've got Trump SC joining us. We've got Destiny on the next show. So thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the first episode of Learn by Play. And other than that, we'll see you guys next time. Until next time, try not to throw too many net ones. We want to be laughing when you do. Farewell, everybody. Bye.